Aloha and good evening, everyone. And on this pleasant and chilly Friday night from Lehigh, Utah, we welcome you to KSL Sports Rewind's presentation of high school football. This is the UHSAA playoffs on KSL Sports Rewind, presented by Mountain America Credit Union. And this is Skyridge Football on KSL Sports Rewind, presented by Surgical Wound Care Associates of Utah. And tonight, we get to determine who will advance to Rice-Eccles Stadium as the Skyridge Falcons look to return for a third consecutive time, while the Davis Darts are looking to spoil the party and shake up the entire 6A landscape. Alongside my broadcast partner, Alex Amrine, my name is Alexander Tumolev. Good to be with you all again. All right, Amrine, as we're freezing our tails off up here on this chilly Friday night here at the foot of the Wasatch Mountains, I have to say, this is going to be an interesting matchup because you have one side, Skyridge comes in off a dominant victory last week, Davis off a shootout victory last week. The question is, which defense is going to show up?
You know, and last week, one thing that I saw is just Skyridge's defense. They just have so many good playmakers. I was actually just talking down to one of the defensive guys, one of the coaches of their unit down there, and he just was giving all the praise in the world to these young men out here. They have ball hawk defenders out there, and they can pass rush, put heavy pressure on with just 3 or 4 guys. Expect to have a great show from them.
So Skyridge, speaking of that great performance, he should have been praising them because they came off a 43-7 victory over Fremont last Friday, and Trent Call was nearly perfect in the game. Didn't have to do much work. The defense was good as usual. It just seemed to be, as I was watching it from afar last week at LaBelle Edwards Stadium, business as usual for the Skyridge football team.
No, yeah. I mean, when you look at it, this Skyridge offense, they're very consistent, They're not, Prada or Gucci or Versace or anything like that, but it's classic Old Navy. They're going to get you the job done, right? They have consistent playmakers. One thing that I talked about so often last week during our broadcast when I was with Brett Hammer was just how many good players there were. They had multiple good running backs, a solid quarterback. Even when they brought in Brock Parrish after Trent Call took a hard hit, he was throwing the ball pretty well, getting the plays off, and they had some great wide receivers and a good tight end in Josh Davis.
So on the other side, Davis, which Alex Amrine, ironically, was our first game we ever did together, but that was a different sport. That was basketball we did in December last year. And, of course, it was indoors. It wasn't on top of the press box like we are tonight. Davis, 105 total points last week against Riverton. 55 of them went to them. And let me tell you, Jackson Stevens, oh my goodness, he tore up that Riverton defense.
Yeah, Jackson defense, he just did so well last week, and that was a game that Brett and I were constantly checking, knowing that whoever won that game was going to play Skyridge, as it was pretty apparent early on that Skyridge was going to be moving on to the third round of playoffs here today. And so it really just came down to which team had more gas in their tank. And at this level, if an offense can score that many points, that just shows the heart that they have. And so expecting to put out a great showing today. They have an uphill battle going up against a great Skyridge team with a good defense, but if there's any team that can beat them, it's Davis with this kind of offense.
So on the others, now let's dive in before we get the coin toss done and everything to our Heidemann & Associates keys to the game. Presented by Heidemann & Associates, the full-service law firm that's committed to winning for their clients. So, Alex Amrine, definitely different keys that we were looking at last week than you guys were looking at last week. But Skyridge is one. Skyridge and Davis both have very similar keys, I think, looking at the paper here for tonight's game.
Well, yeah, so let's just break it down. So I think for Skyridge, you just need to keep the offense consistent. What I mean is do what you did last week. Brett and I, we saw a lot of good players, like I was just mentioning, a lot of consistent players. It's not like a team like Timpanogos where, you have a Luke Livingston who has almost all of their touchdowns from the year. They have guys, like each of their guys have about 400, 500 receiving yards, 5 or 6 touchdowns in the year. And so last week we saw some great guys, specifically Connor Jensen at receiver and a great receiving back, and Akia Galama, he was great receiving the ball. He's actually one of their leading receivers as well, and Tate Walker, just a tone setter, just explosive speed, bit of a smaller back, so fun to watch. And he was my choice for the Heidemann Associates player of the game. So they just need to distribute the ball to a variety of players like they did last week against Fremont, and if they do so, I think Davis might get spread a bit too thin on defense, and this game could get away from them. And then going over to Davis, while we're talking about it, the wide receivers for them, they just need to create space going up against the secondary today. Last week, the Falcons did a great job playing the ball. Well, they picked off Fremont quarterback Slade Parker 4 times, and it was kind of, it was a tough day for Slade Parker, I'll say that. They allowed just 1 touchdown in the game, which didn't even come from Slade Parker. It came from their backup quarterback, Bodie Goins, who came in after Slade was hurt in the 4th quarter. Davis's rush offense continued to struggle last week and relied heavily on quarterback Jack Stevens' arm, threw for 453 yards, and 4 scores. So Stevens is going to need to get the ball to these guys, but they need to do a good job of getting separation.
Much different setting, isn't it, Amrine, than being in basketball December last year. Of course, we did the game between Davis and Olympus, which was one of the best games we had seen in a while, which, by the way, speaking of Davis, they're going to get the football to kick off the game. And the Skyridge Falcons will be tested early here. Interesting to note, Amrine, that we see McCae Hillstead, who has been hurt for a large part of the season, the commit to Utah State. He is actually dressed for tonight's game, so maybe that's a sign if Trent Call struggles, maybe they bring in Hillstead, who knows?
Well, and so one thing I was wondering before, because we don't get to communicate with these teams. We don't know exactly who's going to be starting. We always assume it's Trent Call, but it was McCae Hillstead who was taking the majority of the pregame snaps. That very well could have just been, getting reps at quarterback in case something were to happen, a worst-case scenario like you mentioned. But, his arm looks good. I mean, this guy was rolling out of the pocket. I haven't had the opportunity to see him play in person, but this guy put some mustard on the ball, to say the very least. So he comes in. I think that, Skyridge is in just as good hands had they not if they don't have Trent Call. So we'll see who ends up being out there, because I was wondering, I was like, is McCae Hillstead starting? I don't think that's going to be the case, but of course we'll wait to see what's going on.
All we know is that one team will move on to Rice-Eccles Stadium as we remind you of what's going on here at Skyridge High School. Game time temperature, Alex Amrine, coming up here according to the National Weather Service as we're checking it right now here at Skyridge, is close to the high 30s here right now. Officially 39 degrees. And a wind of about 3 miles per hour.
It feels way colder than 39 degrees.
A minus 3 degree wind chill factor right now. Real feel is 36, according to the National Weather Service. It is a frozen one here in Lehigh.
And it's only going to drop. This is one of those games where weather's going to play a big factor in a lot of different things. Those players got to stay warm on the sidelines, keep on moving around. As we see both sidelines around, they're just getting warmed up, throwing the ball to each other, trying to stay warm for when they have to go on to the field. We'll see that play a factor in defense as well. Those hits are going to hurt a lot more than normal.
It's football weather, you have to say. We're going to keep you all updated on scores throughout the night. The only early game that we know that has a score right now is Farmington American Fork. Last we checked, the Phoenix lead the Cavemen 6-0 at halftime. We'll keep you updated on the other playoff games. There are a couple that have kicked off before us. But for now, we invite you to settle back in and watch who goes on to Rice-Eccles Stadium. Skyridge sends us away. A line drive kick that's taken at the 5. Out to the 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, and out to the 40, and out of bounds close to midfield. A very good return there to start the game for the Davis Starts, and that'll bring out Jackson Stevens for this Davis offense.
A good return right there. I mean, if you want a good way to get this high-powered offense rolling, how about a kick return? Last week, that was something that we saw Skyridge struggle against a lot. Basically, the biggest plays for Fremont were some of these kickoff and punt returns. Time and time again, we're like, oh my gosh, they're just getting yards. Unfortunately, their offense couldn't finish the drives as we continue to see more Skyridge special team struggles on coverage.
So they're going to go 5 wide to open the game here is Davis. And we have a flag right off the bat, and Doug Jardine, our cameraman here, is telling me it's offside. I think it's offside. 2 against 1. Amrine doesn't say anything. It's a 5-yard penalty going that way.
It's too early for penalties. Our streak with penalties. I don't want to get it started,
Stop it right now. We don't want to start this charade. Anyway, first and 5 now for Davis. Again, 5 wide. Stevens on first down, looking, pressure coming, throws, a lot of contact. It's picked off. Ball was tipped, and it's picked off. Saxon Higby, the senior. It looked like Smith Snowden had the coverage on the play, and the Falcons take over immediately in midfield.
We did not see Smith Snowden's side of the field targeted very much. Slade Parker very much knew of Fremont that he should not throw it that way. We know what a great player he is on the year, as he has 5 interceptions himself. But he threw it that way. He got it on the play right there. And then Saxon Higby chipped Joe right there. That's pick number 6 on the season right there. And what a turn of events.
11:45 left to go, and the Skyridge Falcons take over 1st and 10. Here's the handoff from Hillstead going up the middle. And going absolutely nowhere is Tate Walker, the running back.
And how about that? We are going to see McCae Hillstead at quarterback. that, they're very similar playing styles, pocket passers. They don't like to run it a lot. Trent Cole, we saw him run the ball a little bit, but it's kind of that Josh Allen style. This big guy, he'll drop his shoulder. He's not going to slide. McCae Hillstead, a bit smaller, sitting at 5'11", 3 inches shorter than Trent Cole, but still, what an arm.
Commit to Utah State. Triple wide receiver lines up to the left. Play action and the throw, sitting in the zone. Pass is caught. And a first down out to the 39-yard line. That's Josh Davis, the tight end. We'll hear his name a lot tonight.
Yeah.
And that's a first down for the Falcons.
Josh Davis, he had a really good game last week, including a touchdown and a couple of big grabs for the middle right there. Expect him to be a target in some of these second down situations, second and long, that is.
First and 10 now from the Davis 39. Hillstead hands off to Walker. And Walker gets through the middle. He'll pick up about 5 yards off right guard. And that'll bring up a 2nd and 5 early here for the Skyridge Falcons.
Walker's had a really good season. They're kind of just splitting reps between him and Carter Sheffield. But, he's been a really good back. And as you can see, that was about a 6-yard gain right there. And he's just such explosive speed. It does not take any time for him to get going. He goes like 0 to 60 in 3 seconds about. You got a Tesla out here.
Hillstead on 2nd and 5. Play action. Throw to right side. Wide open. Pass is complete. Spinning away. Getting inside the 10 to the 5 and in for the touchdown. McCae Kalama 6-0. Just like that, the Falcons fly into the end zone first.
Well, Kalama, he is the leading receiver for the Skyridge Falcons. That is his 63rd reception on the year. He has had that's his 6th receiving touchdown on the year. He just has such good speed, not as fast as Walker out of that backfield, but right there, I don't know, he made me question it a little bit, breaking out of a tackle and then bursting his way into the end zone.
High snap, and they're going to have to take off with it, and they are not going to get the 2-point conversion. The helmet came down before the ball did, and so the high snap costs Skyridge the extra point, but with 10 and a quarter minutes left here in the first quarter, the Falcons already ahead 6-0.
Yeah, that right there, what a turn of events. I mean, that is the opposite of an ideal start for Davis right now. I mean, they come out there, they get a good kick return, you're feeling good, and then that pick drill right there with Higbee on the interception, and that's something that's going to be really important for the Skyridge team. You have so much coming from behind you. You have such great momentum. You need to make sure that you capitalize on just given opportunities like that. I was talking about it last week. Manna from heaven. You got to make the most of it. You got to eat that stuff, all right? And they did so right there, unable to get the extra point, try to get in for that 2-point right there, stop short, but still 6-0. That's a great job when you haven't even received the ball on a kickoff yet.
Want to bring you up to date on a couple scores. We're watching Farmington against American Fork. How about this, Amrine? Farmington is leading 19-0 over AF late in the third quarter. I mean, who saw that coming?
No, we thought that was going to be a very good game. We were originally assigned to that game before some changes
were
made. We were very excited to go up there, but maybe not the game that we were hoping for. Maybe that one will get a bit closer later on.
Yeah, hopefully it will. If there's any silver lining, the Cavemen do still have a full quarter left to make it up. Kickoff will go into the end zone or close to it, and it'll be a touchback, and we'll bring Davis back out to the 20-yard line. And Amrine, I now turn to you, and this is a big drive for Davis early on. They have some early adversity. Now they got to respond.
Yeah, right now, they don't have that ideal field position they did last time. I think what they got to do is just, stay consistent. Don't let that interception get in their heads. Don't make you think that you have to have a Hail Mary play to get back in this. Don't play hero ball. It's 0-0, okay? It's not 6-0. It is 0-0. Go out there, give Stevens the ball, make some magic happen. And like I said in pregame, these wide receivers need to make space.
Josh Baker lines up as the single setback. Stevens drops the pass, throws. That's complete. And not for very much. That's complete to Easton Baggett, the 5'9 senior, and he got leveled immediately. And, in fact, I'm going to say he lost a yard.
Yeah, Easton Baggett, he's one of those just small, speedy slot wide receivers. I really like those guys. I'm a big fan of just, the big, DK Metcalf-esque, but I also love those Cole Beasley, Julian Edelmans, right? Those little squirrely guys who can create space and find open gaps right there, able to do so for a short gain, set up second down. Or actually, I guess that was a loss on that play, wasn't it?
Yes, it was a loss, second down and 11.
Forgive me.
Baker remains again the single setback next to Stevens in the gun, and Stevens is going to take it himself on the quarterback keeper, and he'll get a couple. up to about the 23-yard line, and that's going to bring up 3rd down and a long 7 here for the Darts.
Yeah, so thus far what I've seen from the defense, of course, we've only had a handful of plays. We don't know how wide of a playbook they're going to have on the defensive side of the ball. But from what I've seen a lot of man-to-man, which is something that I really like. I think it's a very aggressive thing, something that's very, I think that you have to do it at this level. In the playoffs, you need to show your aggression. And I think that, playing man-to-man and rushing a lot up the middle with that front 7 is going to be a tone setter early on.
3rd down and 7. Triple wide receiver in tandem to the left. Stevens tries to set up the screen, and it's blown up. Intended. Mariner there got the block, and Tyson Elkins was the intended target. And 3 and out go the Darts.
Yeah, well, Jackson Stevens right there just did not have a lot of vision in front of him. He had defenders all over his face. Hard to locate a screen when you can't even see your running back who's going to receive it. And that's something that we saw from Skyridge last week, able to apply a lot of pressure and break up a lot of screen passes that Fremont tried.
Eggett now to punt. With pressure coming off the edge, it's partially blocked. And it hits off the Davis player, and that's going to be a flag for an illegal touch at the 45. Or rather, that's not a flag. That's the beanbag. Pardon for the spotting of the ball. And that'll be where the Falcons will take over 1st and 10.
Yeah, I mean, offensive turnover, almost had a special teams turnover right there with that partially blocked punt. But, I mean, hey, that's going to set up them in great field position right there. Probably would have prevented that ball from going another 15, 20 yards extra. And then bouncing off one of the punt coverage guys, too. Ball rolls backwards a little bit before it's recovered, setting them up at the 45-yard line.
Hillstead goes into the gun, handoff to Walker left side, and he is going to be swallowed up in the backfield. Nowhere to go on that one. Palmer Gardner said, I don't think so.
Palmer Gardner, he's one of these guys when I was looking at all the defensive players. I mean, he has just had a great year, 6 sacks on the season. That one just felt just as fun as a sack right there, taking the running back into the backfield for a 5-yard loss and took him on a trip even further before fully bringing him down. But, of course, forward progress, he'll keep that at 5 yards. Great play by Gardner.
Double wide receiver now lines up to either side for McCae Hillstead.
And watch that rush on that far side.
It looks like they're loading up the box here. 4 on the edge here. And we have a flag, and we have a false start. What was that you said about penalties again, buddy?
Yeah, we've only had 2. Okay. Nothing serious. As long as we don't have any uniform.
That tends to be the trend. We tend to have uniform violations.
I know.
Equipment violations, which is what they're cracking down on this year.
I feel like they've gone down as well. I think coaches are finally starting to crack down in addition to the officials, so we're seeing less of those, thankfully.
I hope they're cracking down on it. Meanwhile, here's Hillstead on 2nd and 20. 4 men on the rush. Breaks free. Now throws in the deep slot. That's complete! What a throw there from Hillstead. Jay Snowden got hit there on the pass, who normally plays on the corner, and that's a 1st down.
Yeah, Jay Snowden's the guy that we did not see playing wide receiver last week, so interesting to see him in the lineup. But, hey, he looks just as good as he did last week. He had 2 picks last week, so it looks like he can catch the ball going either way. Good job post over there in the middle. Good job right there by McCae Hillstead, staying patient in the pocket, waiting for him to make that cut over the middle and finding him wide open right there. That was just some bad coverage by the Davis Darts.
1st and 10 from inside the 20 now. Hillstead on the option pitch to Walker. And Walker's going to bull forward to the left side. He'll pick up about maybe 8. And I think he might have actually gotten face masked. Cam Wilson on the tackle for Davis. And unfortunately, I think this is actually coming back. We're going to get a holding signal from the far side here against Skyridge.
Well, it's so common when you try to run the outside perimeter runs that an offensive lineman will get a holding call, especially if they're bringing pressure like that. Because as a tackle and a guard, you're going to do everything in the world to, prevent your running back from getting blown up in the backfield. We've already seen it happen once on this drive. You don't want your running back to start getting frustrated and get the defense that momentum. So that'll happen sometimes. You get those holding calls.
Hillstead now into the gun on 1st and 15 now, officially from the 25. Hillstead. 4-man rush, sets the screen. That's Walker. Tay Walker to the 10, 5, touchdown!
What did I say about Teslas earlier? 0 to 60. in less than 3 is the way that guy looked right out there. I mean, the blocks were pretty good, right? But at the end of the day, I think that was more his speed than the blocks. And just a great job by McCae Hillstead, just dishing off to him and letting him do the dirty work, taking it into the end zone. It'll be interesting to see. It looks like they are going to go just for the simple 1-point attempt right here rather than try to make it an even 14 to get that even perfect 2-score lead over the Darts.
And the extra point by Ian Kieslar is right through. 7 minutes even left here in the first quarter. 13-0 Skyridge, off to a great start.
Other universities didn't fit into my life.
They said I'd have to quit my job to go to school.
They said it would take me 4 years to graduate.
They said I have to take tests when they tell me to.
They said my degree would cost a fortune.
But I didn't have to listen to them.
Because I have a university that listens to me.
Tests on your time, courses on your time, graduate on your time. WGU, the University of You.
Welcome back, everyone. KSL Sports Rewind's coverage of Skyridge football, presented by Surgical Wound Care Associates Utah, continues. The quarterfinals of the UHSAA playoffs, presented by Mountain America Credit Union. 13-0, 5 minutes into the game. The Skyridge Falcons leading the Davis Darts. Kickoff will be into the end zone or close to it, but it will be returnable. Elkins, 10, 15, tries to get a block, and it'll be shoved out of bounds out about the 20-yard line, and that's where the Darts will set up shop. And if there's any silver lining, Amrine, really, the Davis Darts still have a lot of time to turn this thing around.
Oh, no, plenty of time. I mean, I think obviously with the first drive, you got that interception, which, I think that play really came down to the play of Snowden on defense, just playing just ball hawk coverage right there and led to the tip pick, and as well that little bit of a blocked punt on the last one set him up in great field position, and so much you can do against Tate Walker when he has open space like that. But right now, I think that it is important that Davis does come out and at least get some points on the board from this drive.
1st and 10 now from the 20. Stevens going to RPO it to the left. Pass is complete. And a big hit on that sideline. Cash Gates the catch there, and he got blown up.
Yeah, that was a big hit right there. I was actually just kind of expecting the ball to come out right there. So it looks like he was kind of having a hard time juggling it when he first caught it right there, but able to hold on.
Triple wide receiver lines up to the left, as they normally will in this spread formation.
Watch the pressure up the middle.
And here they come right up the middle, but the pass is caught. But before that, we have a flag on the far sideline and a false start coming up against the Darts. That last catch was actually Brighton Pierce, not Cash Gates. I beg your pardon. As the Darts will be backed up 5 yards off their 3rd penalty of the game already. On a frozen cold afternoon here in Lehigh. Again, game time temperature was 39 degrees. Wind chill factor of -3 makes it feel like 36. It is cloudy, and at least according to my buddy Luke Livingston, the wide receiver at Timpanogos, he believes it might snow tonight. If it does, I'm seriously going to scream. Stevens looks, throws. That's complete, wide open at the 30, getting the first down and then giving ground, but making the catch over the middle is Easton Baggett. And Baggett has a first down across the 30 to the 31. That's the first down of the game for the Darts.
And I think that will about one more catch for Easton. I think they'll just put about him over 1,000 yards on the season. So a great season from him. And as I talked about earlier, he's just so fast. He can make some moves in open space. As we saw him right there, get the first down.
Triple wide receiver lines up to the right now in tandem. Stevens audibilizing. Stevens runs to the right, and he's going to get thrown down immediately. Not much room rolling off that right side. Sione Westover there with the stop, coming up from his linebacker spot.
Yeah, and Sione Westover, big guy right there. It's going to be a hard time stopping him when he comes down the middle like that. 6'3", senior, sitting at 215. That's a big boy coming at you right there and taking you down. I mean, I love his frame. He's just got a lot of speed to him. Kind of a similar build, actually, to quarterback Trent Call. But obviously when he's running downhill like that, no one wants to get hit by Trent Call or Sione.
A very senior-laden defense this Skyridge team is. Stevens now from the gun. Gain of 1 officially. Stevens looks, throws. That's complete. Over the middle, the slant. And that's a first down. That's Tyson Elkins there again, the slot back. And that's a first down on a pickup of close to 10 for the Darts. Westover again with the stop. And quickly the Darts come back to the line.
And right there, that's going to be one of the first times that we've really seen them in a true spread package on that last play right here as we got deuces on either side. See if they run a screen.
Look like they're going that way. Stevens this time throws deep. Pass is incomplete. There's a flag down from the umpire. Lying at about the 43-yard line, and I suspect this is going to be a infraction of some kind against the offense. The initial signal is that it is a illegal block.
You know, and going back to your point about how, you know, how many seniors there are in this team, not only do they have so many great athletes, but they just are so well meshed together after playing together for so long. They have great chemistry. They have a great knowledge of the game. They have a great knowledge of what their defensive coaches want in their schemes. And so that's going to be, you know, troublesome for this Davis team, right? They're going up against a group of guys that know each other well. I mean, of course, Davis, you know, they got some great players as well, but that's going to be a whole other challenge, a whole mental battle. It's going to come down to, you know, a lot of coaching as well.
It was an illegal block called against the Darts. So back it up. 1st and 20 officially now at the 34-yard line. 4:06 to go, 13-0 Skyridge. If you're just joining us, Skyridge scored off a turnover, then they got it at the 40-yard line off a partially blocked punt and proceeded to go all the way down the field into the end zone on both drives. Stevens, 5-man rush, setting up the screen, and it goes right through the hands. But we have a flag down at the 24-yard line in the area of roughing the passer, says Alex Amrine. Yeah. Carter Sheffield is the one who put pressure on Stevens, and it is indeed a personal foul. And they're going to call it with targeting against... They're going to call it with targeting against Carter Sheffield.
You know, and I can kind of understand where they're coming from with the targeting. After the play, after he'd already thrown the ball, Carter Sheffield, he did throw both his hands up into the face of Stevens right there. Obviously, you don't need to hit him in the face right there. You can hit him lower or not hit him at all. I think it was one of those things. As I was talking with one of the defensive coaches, you know, they just want Stevens to feel the pressure, to kind of feel the pain a little bit right here out on a cold night. You know, each of those hits, even just like little bumps like that, are going to hurt. So they want to get in his head like that. But, of course, that's going to draw a flag through once in a while, as we saw right there.
Speaking of pain, what does he think we have to go through up here? Standing up here in this frozen press box. Here's a handoff up the middle, and getting absolutely plastered by Westover was Pierce.
Yeah, you see, that's the thing. I'd rather be up here on top of the press box than getting laid down on the ground by Westover.
Yes. Yes, Sione Westover, 6'3", 215
That was a hard hit. Something that we saw last week, but even more so this week. It seems like this defense not only plays really well, but they like to just get in your head with kind of just this angry defense, right? And it's so fun to watch, but I'm just glad I'm not a member of the Davis Darts offense out there tonight.
2nd down 9 now. And that's a backwards pass because Stevens threw it out of bounds, and that's going to be a loss of 6.
You're right there. Well, in pregame, I saw them running through some double passes and some trick plays right there. I guess they didn't practice them enough right there, as that one's going to go wildly wrong. At least it didn't result in a turnover. I guess that would have been the worst-case scenario right there. It'll remain 3rd down, but 3rd down and very long now. And at this point, I would expect them to try and take a shot deep to one of their talented wide receivers, or maybe ditch out the ball to Easton Baggett, who knows his feet, sir, and maybe he can pick up yards and maybe get them a first down by some Dyson and Weavin.
3rd down and 16 officially now at the 43. Stevens drops the pass, extra man coming on the rush, gets out of trouble. Stevens looking, throws, and it's almost picked off. Oh, Brady Beers almost had that one. Hunter Anderson, the intended target. I mean, that was a battle of wits right there, and Beers almost wrestled it right out of Anderson's hands.
No, and Anderson came in motion before that play, jumped up the middle, and he ran an out route immediately. And Hillstead, Stevens was looking for him, but felt the pressure, had to roll out. Anderson rolled back over the middle, but the ball was a little behind him, giving a chance for Breers to go in and make the play and strip that ball away.
And we're out of a timeout call by Skyridge as they didn't have enough people out on the field for the punt return.
And just Brady Beers, Smith Snowden. I mean, we've seen it just from some great plays already here in the first quarter as we're winding down to the end of the first. But just, I mean, this is some of the best defensive play I've seen so far this season. And we've got a chance to see some great defensive football this season. More offensive football. We've been to some crazy high-scoring games and some blowouts. But I'm really liking what they're seeing. I'm a really defensive guy. I love to see just ball hawk defense and a lot of good pass rush, and we're certainly seeing that early on here. I think that's going to make it a very, very frustrating day for Jackson Stevens if his wide receivers do not get the separation they need right there. Of course, that one was on Stevens, a little bit behind him. He did a good job creating some extra time, getting some space, getting away from the pass rush right there, but unable to find his receiver, throwing it a bit behind Anderson.
So out of the timeout, Agate is sent to punt it away. La'akea Kalama stands back at his 23. Late here in the first quarter, 13-0, the Falcons lead the Darts. Agate's punt is an end-over-end dribbler that will bounce at the 25. Kalama takes it at the 20. And he gets brought down right at the 25, and that's where Skyridge will put it in play. KSL Sports Rewind's presentation of Skyridge football and the UHSAA playoffs is presented by Heidemann & Associates, the full-service law firm dedicated to winning for their clients. Whether you need patents for your business or you need to handle estate planning, Heidemann & Associates is there for you. Call them today at 801-754-4240, or you can contact them online, as always, at utah.law.
If there's one way I would describe the Skyridge offense, just from the limited time I've had to watch them last week and a bit this week, they're just a treat to watch. So I'm excited that they're going to get a full drive right now, starting at the 25-yard line, to see what they do.
And they're going to start it with a handoff to Walker, and he goes absolutely nowhere. Smothered in the middle. Palmer Gardner, first contact there for the Darts.
That wasn't a treat right there. That was gross.
That was a trick. That was a trick more than anything.
We got a rock. But even though that play doesn't result in anything, if anything, that's going to result, just in opening up their pass offense, right? Last week we saw them run a lot of RPOs, and they ran it very effectively. We've seen a lot of teams at the high school level try to run the RPO. It results in a lot of flags on the offensive line with the illegal receiver downfield, but they did a good job of staying put and executing it very well. So watch for that the rest of this game.
Got officially a yard, did Walker. Play action, Hillstead looking, throws, wide open, and that pass is caught. And stepping out of bounds at about midfield, Jack Burt, the receiver, and that's a first down across the middle. Carter Doria's finally knocked him out of bounds.
Yeah, and just a great job of McCae Hillstead, not only being able to throw on the run, but being able to get some mustard on that right there as the safety of the top for the Darts was closing in on Burt, but able to once again put the heat on the ball, as I noted in pregame.
21 on the pickup there for Jack Burke. 1st and 10 now at the 46. Hillstead, so much time he could go through a calendar now. Throws one up the sideline into coverage. It's incomplete. Pretty well covered there on that far sideline. Again, looking for Burke. And coverage with him was Crew Cunningham, one of the linebackers. So a mismatch out on the edge. You have a tight end running a wheel route up there against one of your linebackers.
Yeah, Crew Cunningham be able to with him step for step, playing perfect hip to hip. That's textbook defense right there. That ball, I think that was just a little bit too out in front and a bit towards the inside of the field right there. When you have such tight coverage, you're going to need to hit back shoulder pass. That's a very hard pass to hit, especially in this cold weather when it's hard to get, that sometimes that pinpoint accuracy on the ball, especially at this level.
Walker hits the handoff right side, breaks through a gap, and he's got close to a first down. We'll see where they mark him. Then the far side judge says, yes, that's a first down.
That was a really good job by Walker right there. He waited just a second, saw his blocks, and then just followed the path.
Now here's Carter Sheffield going up the middle. Flag goes down again. Holding is coming up, I suspect. That's going to be our 5th penalty here in the first quarter, and I think that comes with the product of just being part of the weather there, Amrine, that there's going to be a lot of penalties in this game.
Yeah, I know. When conditions aren't ideal, it's going to result in a lot of just these happenstance penalties. You're not going to play as clean a game as you would like. As the ref makes the call right here. And as you're right, it is a holding call.
Well,
but,
it's actually against the... And there's a hands to the face. There's a hands to the face, actually, infraction against the darts, and so that's going to result by a first down in principle.
Yeah, a little bit of confusion on my part right there. I apologize for that. But a good run by Carter Sheffield right there. He also kind of just, it seemed like he was kind of just running, at a 90-degree angle with his body, just had his head down, was running up the middle right there, and able to bring down a second and short. But that legal hands to the face is going to set them up just outside the red zone now.
1st and 10 now from the 26. Hillstead, pressure coming off the edge, throws quick into the seam, into triple coverage! Touchdown! Nope, incomplete, hit the ground. What a throw that was, though, into coverage. But unfortunately, Cannon Jensen not able to secure it as he hit the turf.
And Cannon Jensen, he's just been a phenomenal player last week. He just had so many good catches, did a great job of opening his face right there, and not a lot of space right there. But, just what a great job by McCae Hillstead getting that ball in between triple coverage. That was just, for me, that's a college-level throw right there. No question in mind that he's a collegiate-level athlete.
And now here's a pass for Kalama. Inside the 10, 5. That's a touchdown.
Kalama right there. Once more, getting the job done. How about these running backs? All the touchdowns have gone to the running backs thus far, and they're just showing their speed in open space. Something that I saw last week. They opened up their playbook a lot last week, and I think it's because they knew they could do a lot of different things against Fremont. They're doing what they do best, and that's getting the ball in open space and letting the running backs work their magic.
What a start for the Falcons, as Kieslar's extra point is perfect. And with 1:19 to go here in the first quarter, what a start for the Skyridge Falcons. They lead 20-0. Back after this.
At UCCU, we'll provide you with a low-rate line of credit that makes it easy to access the equity in your home with no fees or closing costs.
Simply complete an application on your phone or computer and select the low-rate option you prefer.
And then sit back and enjoy the peace of mind that comes from knowing you have a low-rate line of credit. Ready for whatever life throws at you.
To learn more or start your application, visit uccu.com or stop by any branch.
20-0 Skyridge leading here as we close in on the end of the first quarter. Alexander Timberlip and Alex Amrine here at Skyridge High School for the coverage of the UHSAA playoffs, which is presented on KSL Sports Rewind by UCCU, by Heidemann Associates and Western Governors University. And as always, Skyridge football is presented by Surgical Wound Care Associates of Utah. 20-0 our score as the Skyridge Falcons get set to kick off. Isaac Herfel set to kick off. It's a short kick. It'll be taken at the 5. And outside the 10, 15, 20! And what a hit! Woo!
Yeah, that was a big hit right there. That seems to be a common trend among these coverage teams and on the defense. And one thing I want to talk about really quick, the Darts now down 20. I think something that their defense is having a really hard time with is just getting good angles on these running backs. And that's, taking bad angles on the defense is going to be a very bad combination when it comes to two speedy backs in Kalama and Walker. That's going to be a long, long day when they have those guys coming out of the backfield like that. They just need to, be on top of their defensive assignments and do a better job of closing in on them.
So from the 20 now, 1st and 10, officially ball marked at the 19 3/4. Stevens sets up the screen, complete to Elkins, gets a block at the 20, tries to get outside, and he'll get tripped up by his own man out there at close to the 30. They're going to mark him just at the marker, and that's enough to move the sticks.
Elkins right there. He's been a common and frequent target throughout this season. He's well over 1,000 yards now. He has 8 touchdowns on the year, so no doubt that Jackson Stevens has a lot of confidence in him and what he can do for this offense, and they're going to need to rely upon guys like him. They're going to need to go to their guys who, they do have a lot of great playmakers, but they're going to need to go to the guys who are just consistent game after game after game if they're going to go and compete.
Stevens, 3-man rush. Steps up, hit as he throws. Pass is complete, sitting in the zone and getting another first down there. That's Hunter Anderson. And again, that's another first down.
Hunter Anderson, that was the second target of the game. Of course, drops the first one that was, well, I guess it was rather stripped out of his hands when it was a bit behind him, but finally gets to the catch over the middle. That's back-to-back first down throws from Stevens. Stevens getting in a rhythm right there after delivering a hard hit from the defensive end. But he's done a good job despite feeling that pressure. He's done a good job stepping up, moving out, creating space. I'm impressed with his pocket work.
Final seconds of the first quarter, 20-0 in favor of Skyridge.
They have to get one play off.
They probably will, and they will. Stevens looking, throws, got a man out there. It is broken up. What a play. And that will do it for the first quarter. Jay Stoneman on the coverage.
Yeah, Jay Stoneman, a good thing that he didn't put a lot of hands on the guy. Actually, he had 2 or 3 pass interference calls last week, despite having a really good game and having 2 interceptions. But I think he probably learned his lesson, knowing that when he's not facing the ball, don't put your hands on the receiver. You're going to get defensive PI called on you all day.
So we come to the end of the first quarter, and we'll be back in 15 seconds after this word from Surgical Wound Care Associates of Utah.
Hi, I'm Amber Clark, head manager of the Skyridge football team. This is a Lanner Falcon. Falcons are the fastest animals on the planet. They read body language and are extremely aware. Let's make 2022 the best season yet. Go Falcons!
Second quarter about to start. Alexander Timlip and Alex Amrine here at Skyridge High School. We'd like to remind you KSL Sports Rewind's presentation of high school sports is presented all season long by Western Governors University, where you can make 2022 the year of you. Go to wgu.edu for your chance to sign up for a scholarship to get your degree on your own time at your own pace. And you can also get a 1-year MBA for a limited time. Where else can you get an education that's attainable, affordable, and full of support? It's only here at the nonprofit University of You, WGU, a proud sponsor of KSL Sports Rewind's presentation of high school football. So 2nd and 10 now at the 40 as we start the second quarter. Again, Alexander Timlip, Alex Amrine, freezing our tails off on the top of the press box here at Skyridge High.
It's a pleasure nonetheless.
It's not a pleasure watching the penalties. We're going to have another false start here against Davis.
So penalty counter, I believe that's number 6.
Yes, I believe it's 6 or 7 now.
Yeah. Let's go with 6. Let's look at things more positively.
Third penalty of the game against Davis. 3 against Skyridge, 3 against Davis. So back it up to the 35. And really the penalties have been killing Davis so far, especially that trick play that went awry. Outside of that, it's the penalties that are really giving the Darts fits.
Well, it's definitely set them back. They've had a few times where they've had almost, 1st and 20, 2nd and 20s, and right here about 2nd and 15, and that's a real shame after they were getting some momentum at the close of that first quarter.
Yeah, never want to be working from behind the chains. Throw in the middle, that's complete, getting some of the yardage back. And making the catch is Elkins, theme of the day so far, and that'll bring up 3rd and a long 10 here for the Darts.
Once again, going to Elkins right there. Good job getting vertical on that play right there and then getting low to make sure that he didn't get hit super hard. We talked about these hits are going to hurt, so you need to make sure that you conserve yourself because those bruises, you're going to start to feel those in the 3rd and 4th quarter. And we talked about this team, their ability to play the long game as last week they outlasted their opponents in a shootout.
3rd down and 10 now. Ball at the 40. Blitz coming, screen, that's complete, and making one man miss, but not able to keep his feet is Baggett. Oh, Baggett would have been gone if he had made that move, and now it's 4th down, and I was about to say, you don't want to go for it here on 4th and 8 in your own territory. You got to kick it here with the wind coming across the field on a cold night like this.
Yeah, it looks like there's a bit of hesitation from the sideline right there, whether or not they're going to do it right there. But Easton, you could see his frustration as he knew that there was an open field in front of him. Shoelace tackle as he's taken down as his blocker fell down and wasn't able to complete it for him.
Agate rolls out to the right, rugby-style kick, and it's a good kick. Taken on the run by Walker, and Walker will be brought down at the 25. That's where the Skyridge Falcons will start. We remind you, KSL Sports Rewind is your home for the UHSAA playoffs next Thursday and Friday. The 6A and 5A semifinals take place at Rice-Eccles Stadium. Dusty Lidster, Dane Stewart have the call for you. All 4 semifinals leading you up to championship weekend on Friday, November 18th on your home for the UHSAA playoffs. KSL Sports Rewind. And it's going to be a fun weekend of football up there at RES.
Oh, yeah.
The house that Witt built. Hillstead, play action, looking, throws, got a man wide open, and getting over there to break it up in the nick of time with a flag down is Carter Dorius. I mean, Dorius came out of nowhere and just broke it right up out of Jensen's hands. And on top of that, we have a holding against the Falcons.
No, it's tough right there. I don't think that Hillstead had the cleanest release on that ball as he would have hoped for. It wasn't the cleanest ball going up. And that may have resulted in the pass being incomplete. And it's interesting right there with the guy wide open right there.
And it also may have resulted in the ineligible man downfield.
Yeah. As we get reset, but just really quickly, as Dorius came across the middle right there, I believe that Hillstead, of course, saw him and so didn't know whether to put that ball, just on a line right there to try and just make it a perfect go route or a little stop right there. He just wanted to get the completion.
Hillstead tries to step through the pocket, gets away from the pressure, now has the containment come up on him, and he's forced to slide. Wasn't a very good slide at that. There's a whole bunch of white shirts converged on him, and this will be the first third down of the game here for the Falcons. And Amrine, against Corner Canyon, I saw this this Skyridge offense get a little stagnant at certain points during the game.
No, and they have been. And, I think the best thing you can take away from that play right there is the fact that he was able to avoid the sack and able to get a little bit. And, 2nd and 11 is a lot better than 2nd and 16 right there. I really liked his movement right there.
3rd down and 9. Hillstead drops the pass. Everybody covered. Now he's going to just throw up the Hail Mary and throws it away in the direction of Jackson Andrus. And that'll bring up 4th down. And shocker, the Skyridge Falcons are going to punt.
I know, that's something that we haven't seen thus far. The first time the punt team's going to be out here, something that we also didn't see a whole lot last weekend. So, their punter's probably getting a little bored on the sideline if at least he gets to see some action. But right there, even though it was an incomplete pass from Hillstead as it went kind of sailing right out of bounds, I mean, that was a run, going the opposite way you want to go when you're throwing on the run. And that ball flew 50, probably 60 yards in total. You can see why Utah State, wanted this guy to come and play for them.
Corrections, this is now the 3rd down play, 3rd down and 10. Hillstead looking, throws, and it's just out of the reach of Jackson Andrus, who was the intended target on the previous play. And now we will see the Falcons come out and
now
get the
we
football.
will.
Yes.
We were getting a bit hasty, right? We just wanted,
Reports of the demise were premature.
No, but I think the past 3 throws from Hillstead have not been great as we see the punt go.
Whoa!
No, it's a bad one.
That's a shank right there. That's going to tumble out of bounds at the 43. Well, manna from heaven. Ha! Manna from heaven, Amrine. There it is.
Yeah, and I mean, the wind is blowing, but not really that much. So I don't think there was really the wind that affected that. That was all contact right there. I think he hit the ball a lot more just, horizontally. Usually you want that ball vertical up against your foot, parallel to your foot as you kick it. I do not think he had that clean contact most punters would have hoped for. If that ball is going to set the darts up in ideal position right here, especially after, the last drive, stalled out, as you said, manna from heaven. Let's see if they do anything with it.
I stole the words right out of your mouth.
I know. Hey,
yes.
That's my line, man. Come on. I need to trademark it.
Yes. Now from the offset I formation. This is interesting. Stevens, hands off. This is Davis over the left side. Or Baker, rather, over the left side. And he's going to get about 9 yards. So Davis reaching back into the old-time Davis Starts playbook to break out the offset I formation there.
Yeah, and that was a good run right there. And Jacob Ferber, who plays both ways, he plays linebacker as well as tight end. He had a great block right there. That was really the key in the running back being able to find space right there, set up in 2nd and short.
Again, the offset I. And now it's a play action. Stevens wide open, and the pass is caught inside the 20, down to the 15-yard line. We have a flag down as well for roughing the passer. Back near the 40-yard line. No, checking it's holding. It's going to come back. And again, Amrine, another untimely penalty for the Darts.
Yeah, and that holding is going to be on Nick Johnson. Nick Johnson, it was funny. I think that he kind of knew probably that there was a holding call on himself. He celebrated as that ball was caught by Stevens, and then after the pass was completed by Stevens, then he turned around, saw the flag, and threw his hands up in the air. So he probably suspected that was coming unless the ref didn't see it. But that's a shame right there because that was a good little play action right there to find a guy deep that would have been their best field position of the night.
2nd down and 17. You talk about a penalty that was really untimely.
I mean, they've had a lot of untimely penalties.
Yeah, seriously, for the Davis Darts. That's their 5th penalty of the game already. This one is a tough one. And now they have to come out of that offset I formation and go back into their traditional spread formation. Play clock now down to 8. Now to 5. Now to 3. They better get this off. They just get it away. Stevens looking, throws at the sideline in a coverage, and it's incomplete, well over the head of the intended receiver Anderson, and now it's 3rd down again.
Yeah, and right there, Hunter Anderson did have a step on his defender, which is something that, I don't say very often when talking about these Skyridge cornerbacks, but he did right there. But Stevens unable to deliver an accurate pass right there that goes sailing over his head about 2 or 3 yards ahead of him, setting up a 3rd and very long thanks to that holding penalty from earlier.
Just so many missed opportunities for Davis, and it's because of those penalties. 3rd down and a mile. Extra man coming on the rush. And down goes Stevens! There's also a flag down. Doug Jardine, our cameraman, is telling me it's a horse collar. And I tell you what, Amrite, if that's a horse collar penalty, that is a very, very ticky-tack call.
Yeah, and that one right there, I mean, that was more shoulder pad for me.
Yeah, that looked like it was shoulder pad to me.
I think that's a really bad call right there. And, that's going to be really unfortunate for Akana, who was the one who rushed back there, took him down.
Wow.
It looks like after some discussion, yeah, it looks like they are going to move the ball. It's going to be a
first down.
And, oh, man, I'll say that stinks for them. That's really lame. 3rd down right there. You want to get the ball back into the hands of your offensive playmakers, unable to do so with a penalty right there. It's going to give them another chance.
Yep, so that will give them another chance on 3rd down. A little bit closer here. 3rd down and 12. Because remember, the personal fouls do not result in automatic first downs in high school football. Stevens looking, steps up, down he goes! Jacopo Malafau on the sack.
Yeah, Malafau celebrating right there, saying, "Where's the flag now, ref?" Okay, it doesn't matter who takes him down. We're going to get him down. We're eventually not going to have a flag, as we've seen so many flags already. I don't want to see any more, okay, all right? I want to see some football being played out there. We saw it just right there. That he was able to take him down. I think this defense, I think that's going to be a common trend. I think they're going to – I've slowly seen this offensive line for the Davis Darts slowly break down slowly, and I think we're going to see a lot more sacks in the rest of this quarter in the second half.
Eggets' punt is a coffin corner kick. That will take a Davis hop out of bounds at the 10. And we'll mark it right there at the 10 with 7:30 left to go. Back after this word from Bird Homes on KSLSports.com.
Bird Homes is a Utah-founded community builder and a proud sponsor of Skyridge football. Bird Homes not only builds commercial and multifamily buildings, they build and support Utah communities. Bird Homes builds for you. Go Falcons.
Off we go, back to action. Alexander Tumub alongside Alex Amrine here at Skyridge High School. 20-0 your score as Hillstead in trouble, running for his life. And he's going to get brought down at the line of scrimmage. And Amrine against Corner Canyon, I've seen this picture before. Skyridge's offense has gotten a little stagnant at times this year. This is probably not the time you want to do it after the hot start you had.
No, and I think right here, I think the best plays that we've seen have come out of the backfield right now. I think you need to continue to run the ball, establish the run game. That's going to open up passes out of the backfield again to those running backs right here. We've seen them be the bright spots on the offense. As well, I look for Josh Davis as well. When you have this heavy running game, it's going to open up a lot of spaces for the tight end.
And now Hillstead running for his life again, chased down from the back, and he goes down again, and he went down hard.
That was a hard hit right there. Not only did the guy who brought him to the ground bring him down hard, but he had another hit come over the top right there. That was from number 44, Cam Wilson, I thought, who came over the top. He's had quite a good season as a pass rusher, 6.5 sacks himself. 18 solo tackles. You know, they have a lot of good defensive players right there. I mean, that was one of the first times. I mean, they're starting to also see this offensive line for Skyridge start to break down. I think that comes down to it just being cold, right? Your hands are going to freeze up. Your joints are going to get a little bit slower. On the defensive side, you're going to have a lot more energy coming down. I think just, you know, from my playing experience, it's a lot more easy, I guess, to continue to play at a good level when it's cold outside rather than offense.
And now the throw in the air is nearly picked off. Kalama was the intended target, but right there in the middle of the field. Boy, that was a dangerous throw. One of the first we've seen all night from Hillstead, and he's lucky that didn't get picked.
Yeah, and Hillstead, you know, it seems like the value, or I guess,
whoa, the punt almost got blocked. And it'll roll to a stop at the 49-yard line. And now the official is going to come up. And now the back judge is coming up and saying that it touched a Skyridge player well before that. It's well before that, and they may mark it closer than they thought. They're going to mark it right at the 37-yard line.
Yeah, and something going forward, you know, continue to look at Hillstead's release on this ball. I think the quality of his passes has definitely deteriorated as the games go on, and, you know, whether that's, you know, just him getting in his own head. I mean, a guy who is going to play at a collegiate level this next year, I don't think that is really going to happen at this level, but I think it has to do something with the cold as well as the defense. You know, they're finally starting to step up and doing a much better job at getting a good pass rush going.
Whoa, Stevens double pass, and they've got a man open, and it's incomplete. Probably better it wasn't thrown that direction. Boy, Davis emptying out the playbook here in the first half.
Well, I saw them run a lot of double plays, you know, just watching film throughout the season. And also, even in pregame, you know, they weren't even afraid to show kind of, you know, what they were going to pull out of their hats in pregame, just doing warm-ups. A lot of double passes right there. And a good thing that pass, you know, wasn't broken up even before it got off.
Preston Morrill, the intended receiver, on the double pass. And now Stevens goes into the pistol with double wide receivers either side. And the handoff up the middle is Baker, and he goes nowhere. Got absolutely flattened. Deshaun Toilolo said, I don't think so.
Yeah, Deshaun Toilolo has been such a tone setter. I mean, you just got that big presence in there. And how about that hair too coming on the back of the helmet? I mean, that's just an intimidator. Not only his play, but he's got the whole mantra about him too right there as he meets that running back right there at the line of scrimmage instead of a 3rd and long. And once again, I'm singing praises all night to the Skyridge defense. You know, they let up a few big plays here and there, but they're still just an impeccable defense.
Stevens, blitz coming up the middle. They pick it up, and Stevens is going deep for Baggett. It is incomplete, and here comes the laundry. And that was pretty obvious right there. Brady Beers was there in coverage, and then he hog-tied Baggett to the turf, and that's going to result in a first down.
You know, just as I'm singing them praises, they go and do me dirty like that. Okay, all right, I see how it is. No, yes. But that right there, you know, just definitely not clean coverage right there as he just put his arm right across the middle right there. I mean, that's just what not to do in a scenario like that. Not only was he was just had his eyes focused on the receiver, not looking at the play, not looking at where the ball was coming in, as he could have maybe even had a play at an interception on that one right there. But that, once again, I mean, this is manna from heaven, but Davis has to do something with it. Time and time again, they've gotten opportunities, but it has not worked out for them. They need to do something here, just sitting outside of the red zone.
They are just on the verge of the red zone on the 22-yard line. Stevens in trouble, looking, now throws it. That's complete to Baggett. And he's going to do very well to at least get back to the line of scrimmage and minimize the loss of yardage there. It's 2nd and 12 officially here for the Darts.
Yeah, and this, how about the second quarter? It just seems like both the quarterbacks are kind of just running around for their lives, more so from Stevens, but even McCae Hillstead on the other side of the ball, you know, he's had a difficult time finding wide open receivers. I think that the Davis defense and the secondary has done a good job adjusting, knowing kind of what kind of plays they like to run, and it's only the first quarter, so I think a lot of these teams are going to, or both of these teams, are going to have to make a lot of adjustments to figure out how to get their offenses rolling once more.
Like we said, Skyridge's offense has gotten stagnant at some points during the year. Blitz coming up the middle, pass up the sideline is caught and getting knocked out of bounds after a pickup of 5 there is Anderson. It'll make a third down at about 4. Third down and a little bit more manageable here as the Darts will hurry on up back to the line.
And I really like that play right there. I mean, something that I have seen from the Davis offense, they have a good job. They do a good ability to fit the ball in small little spaces right there. Stevens is an accurate passer, able to get him right there on the back shoulder pass.
Stevens, play action, looking right side, throws. That's complete. Bag it again. Out of bounds inside the 5. And a first down. Set up 1st and goal for the Darts. They are knocking on the door, ready to break it in right about now. And here comes the heavy set.
And I like that play right there. Would have liked to see that ball released from Stevens just maybe a second earlier, as I think that, that could have been a bit dangerous if he waited even a half a second longer, as some pressure could have come from Smith Snowden, who was sitting over the top on that play right there, as he met Baggett, pushing him out of bounds. But, hey, right now, you got to get it in. You do not want to settle for 3 right here. I think if it results in a 4th down, you need to go for it. You need to get in for 6.
Stevens, play action, and he'll just throw it out of the end zone. Nobody was open.
That almost looked like a classic Statue of Liberty play right there. Getting everyone away and just hoping to find a tight end in the back of the end zone. But the defense right there, I think they kind of suspected a play action very early on in pregame, resulting in them throwing it away. As we're going to get some personnel changes, new people coming on from the sideline right now.
Sun's starting to set in behind us, and the lights are starting to take effect, and it is getting bone-chillingly cold here in Lehigh. 2nd down and goal now from the 5. And the play clock running inside of 5. And Davis will take a timeout. We will step aside with them as well. 3:23 left to go here in the first half. Back after this word from the Salt Lake Running Company, with Skyridge leading 20-0 on KSLSports.com.
For over 25 years, Salt Lake Running Company has helped people of all ages and levels find the gear they need to start their fitness journey. From a free custom shoe fit analysis to a premium assortment of footwear and workout essentials, SLRC is a top 10 run shop in America. Locally owned, locally operated, at 5 locations along the Wasatch Front. SLRC is there to help you gear up and get out. Visit a store near you or shop online at slrc.com.
KSL Sports rewinds coverage of the UHSAA playoffs on KSLSports.com, presented by UCCU, also presented by Heidemann and Associates, the full-service law firm that is dedicated to winning for their clients. Contact them online at utah.law or call them today at 801-754-4240 to schedule your free consultation with Heidemann and Associates. Alexander Timolip, Alex Amrine here at Skyridge High School. Davis starts knocking on the door, trying to get back into the game. Stevens on 2nd and goal from the 5. Drops the pass, looking, throws, caught, touchdown! Tyson Elkins! And the Darts are back in the game! No flags down on the field, Amrine, and that's exactly what the Darts needed.
Tyson Elkins right there, good job. He knew that hit was coming right there. He knew that middle linebacker sitting right over the middle, going to deliver a hit. Popped to the helmet right there, but a good job curling that in for touchdown number 9 on the season.
9th touchdown receiving on the year, as you called. Or 7th touchdown receiving on the year for Easton Baggett. High snap, and the kick is on the way and no good. So at the very least, Skyridge will play for a 20-6 lead. Taking a look at the scoreboard here with 3:18 to go as the Skyridge Falcons continue to lead 20-6. Wow, a shocker. American Fork upset by Farmington 19-3 up the road. I mean, Alex Amrine, that's a biggie. I mean, American Fork was one of the front runners in 6A. Now they're gone. And now you have to think it's Skyridge Corner Canyon for the title.
Yeah, and that right there, I think American Fork is one of those teams that they're very talented and can surprise a lot of really good teams. It's not one of those just blow-away teams like, oh my goodness, they're far and away just amazing. But I think that if there was a team that could challenge Corner Canyon before getting to the final of this, this playoff bracket, it was them. But with them out of the picture, it's going to be a lot more interesting going forward. And as well, we see Corner Canyon holding pretty well against
West
right now. Yeah, 35-7, Corner Canyon leading.
Yeah, who said that was coming? West
I believe
Coach Junior Solovi's defense getting torn apart by Isaac Wilson and co. down the road there. It's a short pooch kick to keep it away, and that will be a 5-yard penalty up to the 35-yard line. That's where the Falcons will put it in play. But Amron, you'd have to think that's you work that out. I mean, Davis's defense has done a pretty decent job of shutting down the Skyridge offense here in the second quarter.
Yeah, I know they definitely did not wait till halftime to make those adjustments. We usually call them second half adjustments, but the defensive coordinators are just on it. They know, what their players' tendencies are, and so you have to adjust to that. Have to understand what the offense's tendencies are, what the receivers like to do, what kind of plays they like to run. So they did a good job. Looked like they're definitely going to more of a zone fit where they have 2 guys dropped and a more heavier set up front, putting more pressure on McCae Hillstead.
He's going to hand it off to Walker in response, and Walker's got a hole, and Walker's got a first down all the way out close to midfield. Well, they bring the pressure, and they respond to it in kind, does Skyridge with a run.
Well, not only does Walker match the same number as Tyreek Hill, he matches that speed once more going up the middle.
1st and 10 now from the 49. Hillstead from the gun, double wides either side. 4-man rush, throw to the sideline. That's complete. And getting thrown down out of bounds close to the marker is Kyle Valdez. And that should be enough to move the sticks, and it is.
And that's a play that we've seen twice now in the game. The first time it resulted in an incomplete pass, but this time what they basically like to do is have 2 wide receivers on either side and a running back run a little whip route out into the backfield. But basically the inside guys will run outward post and the other guys will run outs right there. We saw it completed onto the right side on that one.
The bench switch play, as they call it. Hillstead looking, throws, swings it out. That's complete to Walker. Walker gets a block at the 30. Walker at the 25. And he gets brought down to the 23-yard line. Another first down.
Yeah, and
that one right. Close to 20 on that one. Sorry, Amron.
No, you're good. You're good. And, one thing I was going to say right there, not only was that a good job by Walker operating in open space, but Davis had numbers on Walker right there. But, Skyridge wide receiver is able to put some good blocks up to give him space.
Now the handoff goes the other side this time. Sheffield goes nowhere. Sheffield gets to the 20, pickup of about maybe 3 if they're generous. 4.
Yeah, and we're going to see Sheffield probably out here more and more often as they're rotating Walker out after he gets those big runs. He's got to get some rest as he's not only just running the ball but catching the ball.
Triple wide receiver lines up to the right for McCae Hillstead. Hillstead hands off to Walker. Left side, big hole. 10, 5, touchdown. Instantaneous response by the Falcons.
And I believe that's touchdown number 3 on the game for Walker, if I'm not mistaken.
3 on the game, 8 on the year for Tate Walker. Coming into the game, he had 7. Now he has 10 total on the season. And the Falcons answer back instantaneously. Another bad snap. And they're going to have no chance to get this one completed for a 2-point conversion. It's incomplete, and that will keep the score a 20-6 game with 2 minutes and 2 seconds left in the first half. Well, Amron, we talked about the winner of this game moves on to face Farmington now, and we talked about how Corner Canyon is putting the hurt on West. That's actually a surprise to you and to me because coming into that game, West defense has been one of the best in Region 2 all season long, and they're going up against Corner Canyon. I don't think anybody expected they put up 35 on that kind of a defense.
I know, and on our drive up here, you were singing your praises to West. I mean, I think that you even took them to possibly upset Corner Canyon, if I'm not mistaken. But,
yeah, that was wrong.
But, hey, how about Isaac Wilson? He's just balling out right there. In West, there's great defenses, and there's great offenses, but then there's amazing quarterbacks. And sometimes that can be the separation right there. And Wilson out there getting it done, putting up 35. The game's not yet over. It's in the fourth quarter right there. But a lot of their scores going on right now. Timpview, 4 seed, beating Wasatch 63-7.
Yeah, Timpview looks like the real deal, don't they? The 2 seed putting the hurt on the 23 seed Wasatch out there in Provo. Probably it's colder over here than it is here right now. Herfel's kick goes into the corner. It'll be taken by Elkins at the 5. Elkins gets a block. Penalty flag goes down behind the play. Ball comes out, and it's recovered by, guess who? Smith Snowden. Forget the penalty.
It was a hard hit, and it looked like a block in the back as well as what they were going to get for. But yeah, how about that? Get the ball right there at the 35-yard line. Smith Snowden, these last 2 weeks, we haven't seen him a lot involved in the turnover game. That's going to be the first time in my experience calling him that I'm going to see him with the ball in his hands. Anyone who watched last week, you'll have remembered that right before halftime, Skyridge, and I don't know if you saw this, Alex, but right before halftime, I was expecting them to just, try and kneel the ball, but they tried to do a bunch of double passes. Fremont tried to do that, try to get the ball in a bunch of laterals, and ended up getting picked off. And Smith Snowden almost returned all the way to the house, but with plays like that, I think there were 6 flags on the field. It was ridiculous. I think a ref threw off his cap to mark somewhere else. So.
To mark someone out of bounds,
yeah.
Yes. It was a mess. We'll just say that. It was a mess. So Skyridge takes over 1st and 10 at the Davis 35 following the turnover. First turnover of the game forced by the Skyridge Falcons in this quarter. 2 now in the game total. Hillstead, play action, throw, that's complete. Kalama breaks a tackle, and he rolls down inside the 30 to the 25, down to the 20-yard line. That's enough to move the sticks.
Yeah, Kalama right there just running a little stick route across the middle right there. They ran a similar route earlier in the game to Josh Davis, and they've done that over the middle. I think that they found success throwing the ball into the middle of the field in these short passes. I think that's something they need to keep on doing. McCae Hillstead has a tendency to look for the deep ball and has not been able to deliver.
Well, Tate Walker certainly has been able to deliver on some of these runs. He's down to the 10. And there's a flag at the 25-yard line. It's coming back.
And while that play is coming back due to the flag, I think this is an ideal situation for Skyridge. Not only do they have the ball right here, but they're going to be getting the ball to start the second half. And so, I mean, you score right here, you're already up 20. I think that you have a real tendency, or a real possibility, to be able to pull away from Davis, which is something that we talked about doing, that if Skyridge is able to, keep on spreading out this ball, which they really haven't done. They've gone back to similar guys over and over and over again in their running backs, Kalama and Walker. This Davis team on the defensive side is going to be spread too thin.
Looking, and a throw out to the right side, and a wide open is Sheffield. Sheffield's going to get bumped out of bounds at the 20-yard line. Officially marked out at the 17. Picked up a really good chunk of yardage. They needed to pick up 25. Instead, they picked up 18 on that play. 2nd down and 7 now at the 16. Clock stops, a minute 10 to go here in the first half of what's been a very cold first half, to say the least. It's been a freezer bowl out here. Here's a handoff to Walker. Inside the 10. That's McCae Hillstead, actually, who kept it on the midline read option. And he gets inside the 5. That'll be 1st and goal for the Falcons.
Yeah, and Hillstead right there, one of the first times we've seen him have a designed run. A few times he had to scramble himself just due to some needing to evade a coverage shack a few times. But out there, a good job right there. We saw it time and time again. Trent Call was able to run similar plays last week, able to find space, and a good job by Hillstead finding space up the middle and almost gets into the end zone.
So 1st and goal at the 4. Play clock down to 10 here with 44 left here in the quarter. Skyridge has scored the first 20. They haven't looked back. Tate Walker's probably going to add on to it, and he does, or gets close to it. He'll be marked down short of the goal line at the 1/4 yard line. If you can't get any closer than that. I saw one of the refs
signal for a touchdown, but not sure if that communication got across.
And we're going to have a stoppage here while they discuss what happened. It's going to be a case of he said, she said, and it's going to be 2nd down and goal. .25 left officially here in the quarter. Again, the game clock bug on your screen unofficial. Walker. Touchdown!
That's number 4 on the night for Walker.
Well, we saw Brock Wilson put up 8 touchdowns total against Timpanogos or Stansbury earlier this season.
That was literally who I thought of as soon as I said that's number 4 on the night for Walker. Thought of Brock Wilson.
Gieslar's extra point is good. 33-6. Boy, Skyridge showing you exactly why they are the force to be reckoned with here in 6A. Back in a moment after this word from Stonehaven Dental.
It all starts with a smile. To show you care, offer a sign of love, welcome someone home. Even when we don't see each other, or share a room, even without words, smiles bring us together. Let's keep yours healthy. Stonehaven Dental. Schedule online at stonehavendental.com.
33-6, Skyridge leads Davis. Alexander Timov alongside our broadcast partner Alex Amrine here at Skyridge High School. 33-6, and definitely not the scoreline I think we expected.
No, I expected a much closer matchup, bit of a shootout, but Davis, of course, last time they had the ball, they were able to find some rhythm, get into the end zone.
Squib kick that goes right through, and Josh Baker will dive right on top of it. The clock doesn't move.
Yeah, good thing Baker jumped on top of that ball because that could have been almost a non-designed onside kick right there if he wasn't on there as the coverage team was hustling in right there. But with 18 seconds left, last week, I was talking with Brett today down in Provo about how last week I was like, oh, they're just going to kneel the ball, nothing crazy is going to happen. And then they had that lateral, they tried a little Music City miracle right there. I said that's not going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen right here. So I'm just going to let it up to, see what they're going to do. Maybe they'll go for it, maybe they won't. But nonetheless, a tall and steep hill for them to climb in the second half.
Substitution issue here as we're trying to figure out also how much time is left here in the half. Clock shows 15 left here in the first half at Skyridge High. So the officials are trying to just figure out how much time's left on the clock, and they're going to say that 15 is correct. And here we go. Jackson Stevens will go into the gun. What I suspect will be a pass play, it is. And Stevens just going to throw it up into double coverage, and it is caught! Look at bang it go! How did he do that? Touchdown! Oh my goodness!
Oh my goodness! I mean, that's got to make Sports Center top 10, right?
No way! There's no way that just happened. No flags. 80 yards. And with 4 seconds left in the first half.
Well, I couldn't see.
I don't believe it.
I couldn't see from here the numbers on the jersey, so I don't know who was in coverage back there. But just a mishap right there. Could have been an interception. Could have just been batted down. But it was almost like, Houston Baggett was just playing the tip drill game the whole way through. He's playing the long game right now. It took him a little bit to get in the end zone, but how about that? What a play. I mean, it was a great throw nonetheless. Didn't get to him the first time, but hey, after that bounce, he took the ball, and then he was home free.
And meanwhile, Stevens tries to go for the 2 quickly to Baggett. It's incomplete, thrown behind him.
That, I think, will be the craziest play that we've ever seen while calling games together across basketball and football. That was phenomenal.
That was nuts. Well, I hope somewhere Vince Francis and Dusty Litster are going to put that on the Rewind Top 5 because that's 2 straight games we've done now, including the Luke Livingston toe drag swag catch at the end of the first half where something incredibly insane takes place at the end of the first half.
No, and that right there, well, it's funny because, Ethan Baggett, it's not like he's a really tall guy. He's going to be able to jump over those guys. You'd think that maybe they would try to get a really tall guy, just chuck the ball at him, and he can get it, and they can take a timeout, kick a long field goal or something. But they went to Easton. Stevens knew that how fast Easton is right there, and He didn't really need to speed when both the defenders guarding him both slammed into each other, and the ball went up in the air for him to just take and run to the end zone home free.
You were saying about you're just.
I know, and I wasn't even trying to jinx anything crazy happening. It just did. It's something about this field and me right before halftime.
It's not even Christmas. It's not even past Thanksgiving, and Santa Claus gave us a gift.
Hey, well, last week the crazy play didn't count, so it's a real
treat.
Yeah,
this time it does count. This time it does count. Well, what next? 3 seconds left here in the first half. Another pooch kick sent toward the sideline. Kalama takes it on the run. Tries to get outside. Kalama laterals it back across the field.
We almost saw 2 back-to-back crazy plays right there. Man, and I wanted it too.
Jeez. You were saying. So the first half comes to an end. Well, the scoreline might not show it, Amrine, but it has been entertaining. 33-12. You know, Skyridge does have the ball to start the second half, but the Davis Darts, it's only a 3-score game right now, and if it weren't for that touchdown, I think they'd be feeling a little bit more worse about themselves right now than it is being 33-12.
No, I mean, I think they have all the momentum in the world, and I think this Davis team has a lot to be proud about, especially, first quarter they struggled, second quarter they were finally able to get points on the board, and then, that was, a bit of a fluke play. Yeah, sure. But what they're thinking is, hey, this is like the stuff of miracles right now, all right? This is just classic storybook.
Yes.
They're just thinking, come on, one day Disney can make a movie about us. Let's do it, okay? And, hey, if there's any team that can beat Skyridge, it's Davis in this high-powered offense, especially as we've seen Skyridge's offense start to slow down. They can slowly start to catch up in the second half.
Yeah, Skyridge started with the first 20 points of the game, but Davis has gotten 12 on the board against the Skyridge defense that has only allowed, get this, 9 points a game this season, winning 10 of their 11 this season, Amrine. The highest total they gave up, 21 against Corner Canyon on September 23rd. Well, I don't know about you, Amrine, but we need to duck down into that press spot because it is freezing cold.
Yeah, I'm the one who remembered gloves. I can't imagine what your hands feel like right now. My hands are cold, and I have gloves on.
Yeah, I might have frostbite by the end of tonight. Thank you very much. We're going to take a break for halftime, and we'll be back with the second half in about 15 minutes. Skyridge leads Davis 33-12. You're watching the KSL Sports Rewind coverage of the UHSAA football quarterfinals on KSLSports.com. Quite a story here as we bring you back here live. Apologies for all the technical issues we have been having with our stream and whatnot. In case anybody just missed it, Kalama into the end zone. Just 4 plays for the Skyridge Falcons to get into the end zone. They lead now 40-12 over Davis. Alexander Timop alongside Alex Amrine here at Skyridge High School on a very cold night. The kickoff temperature, as we said earlier, was 39 degrees. Real feel was 36 with a minus wind chill factor of -3. And as the lights start taking effect and the sun starts going down, Amrine, all we can say is that Skyridge's offense has stayed hot, at least relatively thus far.
Yeah, they're doing good thus far. And I mean, a very similar play style. I mean, they dished it out to Connor Jensen, who we hadn't seen a lot of action of, as I made a note of. On the previous drive, but they're able to score once again. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Turning once again to the running back side of the backfield to get into the end zone.
It's another pooch check. High hopper taken on the run by one of the upmen. That's Baker, the running back, and he gets tagged at about the 31-yard line, and that will bring up the Davis offense for the first time here in the second half.
Yeah, and good reaction by Baker. That's the second time he's had to jump on a kick that wasn't exactly expected. We had that one earlier in the first half that went through one of the players' legs in front of him, and he's able to jump on it before the coverage team did. But getting the ball at the 30-yard line right there, that's pretty decent field position now as Jackson Stevens runs onto the field. I think that he's got a tall task ahead of him, but he just needs to keep on looking for his good receivers, and Elkins and Anderson and Baguette, who have all done just what a great trio right there. They've all been consistent.
From the 30 now, 1st and 10. Stevens throws across the middle. Speaking of which, there is Baguette. Baguette makes a cut. And he gets up to the 35-yard line where Snowden shoves him to the turf.
You know.
You were saying.
Easton Baggett right there, the star of the Skyridge Miracle from at the end of the second quarter. And once again, I think that's something that they're probably going to use a lot more going forward, because what you're going to do is you're going to want to keep Skyridge off the field, but at the same time you want to conserve the clock. So what do? You dish it off to these fast guys who can get across the middle. They quick plays, quick passes, but able to get a lot of yards.
Stevens rolls to his right, throws on the run. That's complete. Getting knocked out of bounds is Elkins. And Elkins up to the 45-yard line. That's enough to move the sticks for the Darts.
And one thing that I've seen so far from safeties over the top, in Braden Beers, besides Brady Beers having a good pass breakup from earlier in the game, but him and Dalton Young, I've seen them kind of be, it almost looks like their legs are a little locked in place when they're playing safety over the top. Sometimes it's very obvious that the ball is going the way on their side of the field, but they hesitate until the quarterbacks really, fully release the ball for them to jump to them. I think that's allowing the receivers for Davis to get a lot more open and get even yards after the catch. I think that's something they need to work on and close down if they want to slow down this offense that's getting on a roll.
Stevens sprints out to the left, and he goes down. Nowhere to run for him on that one. They got on him in a hurry. That's Sione Westover, who we called a lot of in the first half, getting home for another one.
Yeah, Sione Westover. And just as I'm saying, Davis gets on a roll. Jackson tries a little bit of rollout himself, but meets Sione right there, and he's taken down. I think that's a good job right there. It's kind of a gang tackle as well, as he had another guy come from behind. I think this team does a good job when they do tackle. They tackle as a group. I will say that, especially on the run game. That was something I really liked last week, as Fremont had a really hard time getting anything going, and they weren't having a lot of success in the pass game, so they turned to the run game a lot in the second half, and were not able to get the ball going at all. So a good job by the Skyridge Falcons.
Blitz off the edge. Stevens looking, throws. That's complete into a whole lot of traffic. That's complete for a gain of 5. That's Baggett again, theme of the night. He's been one of the primary targets for Jackson Stevens tonight, and it's going to be 3rd down and a long 10 here for the Darts.
And right here, I think, you don't want to just lack of hustle lead to some of these conversions thus far. And you also, like I said, you don't want the Darts to, if you're on the Dart side, you don't want to have any big penalties that result in stalling the drive. But at the same, Skyridge, keep the game clean. Just play your best game of football, and don't let silly mistakes like that get away from you.
And there goes the throw. That pass is incomplete. A lot of contact for Baggett. It's incomplete. A lot of hand fighting there on that far sideline, and it'll bring a 4th down and 10, and I suspect where the Darts are, they're going to have to kick it away, and they will.
Yeah, this early in the 3rd quarter, you don't want to risk anything like that, giving the Falcons good field position, so I agree with the decision to punt the ball away. But going forward, I think they just can't get themselves in any more 3rd and long situations. I think that, while they've had some success in the terms of Easton Baggett's, on that long play, that was just a pure miracle that it happened to bounce into his hands. These 3rd and longs are going to kill him.
Baggett's punt goes up, or Aggett's punt rather, goes up in the air. Everybody says get out of the way, and the gray shirts, and it'll die at the 30-yard line. That's where the Falcons will put it in play to start their 2nd drive of the 3rd quarter. Before we go any further, we'd like to remind you KSL Sports Rewind's coverage of high school football is presented all season long by Western Governors University, where you can make 2022 the year of you, where they're offering a 1-year MBA for a limited time only. Where else can you get an education that's attainable, affordable, and full of support? That's at the nonprofit University of You, Western Governors University, a proud sponsor of KSL Sports Rewind's presentation of high school sports. Hillstead from the gun. Handoff goes to Sheffield, and he goes absolutely nowhere. They were on him immediately there in the backfield.
Yeah, the offensive line broke down really quick right there. Sheffield didn't even have a chance to get away as he's met behind the line of scrimmage. And I think that despite that play, stopping, that was a very quick turnaround for the Falcons on defense. They were able to get the Davis Darts offense off the field. And so, while this Falcons offense is hot and ready to go, ready to punch it in again, I bet they're excited to get on the field as soon as they did.
Hillstead tries to set up the screen. That's complete to Sheffield, and again, he goes nowhere. And chasing him down immediately. That's back-to-back plays there for Palmer Gardner, the defensive tackle, the senior, 6'2", 225. That's back-to-back plays on Sheffield that he's made for the Darts defense.
Yeah, we haven't seen Kalama in action just yet. I would expect them to go to him soon, or if not him, Tate Walker, as we see. Looks like Sheffield is in the backfield again.
And this time it's a 5-man rush. Hillstead gets out of the pocket, now throws. He's hit as he throws, and it's complete and in and out of the hands, actually. But we have a flag down in the offensive backfield. It's near where Hillstead threw the ball. And I was about to say it was a holding. It didn't look like there was roughing the passer, but because it's third down, I assume Scott Peary, the head coach of Davis, is going to decline this penalty. Because it was 3rd down and 8.
Yeah, and that last one right there, targeting Josh Davis, who was coming across the middle right there. That wasn't his designed route. Cross route deep across the middle, and just unfortunate he couldn't corral it as he had to come back to it.
It is indeed declined, and 3 and out for Skyridge. And again, folks, we want to apologize. It is very cold up here, and if we're having a hard time identifying players, or if we're having a hard time seeing what happens on the field, we apologize in advance. It is a very demanding thing to be up here in cold weather like this. That punt was almost blocked, and a fair catch called for and made by Baggett as somebody goes flying in a scuffle at about the 40-yard line, and that's where the Darts will take over. We want to remind you, KSL Sports Rewind's presentation of the UHSAA playoffs will continue next week, Thursday and Friday. The winner of this game will meet the Farmington Phoenix. That's coming up next Thursday. Coverage starts bright and early at 11 a.m. on KSLSports.com, your home for the 2022 UHSAA State Championship game.
Watch for the Darts to have a lot of drag routes across the middle and also some out and corner routes.
They certainly are lined up that way, aren't they, Amrine? They have triple wide receiver lined up to the left, and they have a tandem stacked down here to our right. Stevens throws. That's complete, sitting in the zone. And making the catch is Tyson Elkins, who's been one of the favorite targets of Jackson Stevens tonight. Picks up about 4 on the play. Almost halfway here home in the 3rd quarter.
Yeah, and right there, the tempo is going to go up and up, so you're going to have more and more of these quick release passes, and I think that's the kind of ball that you want to play. Like I said in the first half when they were down a little bit, I mean, they've been playing catch-up this entire game. They've never had the lead, right? But you don't want to play hero ball. I think that we want to do is just keep on picking up just short little gains here and there and drive down the field, get points on the board, especially when your defense is making stops like they just did.
5 men on the rush. Stevens! No time on that one. Tausili Akana right up off the edge and said to Stevens, not this time.
Well, he had a sack in the first half that was nullified because they called a horse collar that you and I both kind of disagreed with, but that one was official, and that's sack number 10 for him on the year.
3rd down and a mile here for the Davis Darts. This Skyridge defense showing you why they are one of the best in the state. As Stevens keeps it on the RPO, throws down the field, pass is caught. Elkins isn't going to get the first down. He's going to be short by about a couple of yards. And given the fact the score is where it is, Amrine, I wouldn't be surprised if Davis goes for this.
I think at this time when it was a bit earlier, we were kind of questioning if they should go for it or not when they decided to punt the ball away. But I think right here is the time that you are going to want to make that call, be a bit bold, sitting at midfield. And on that last play, too, good job by Jackson Stevens stepping up. I was worried that actually when he threw that ball, he was going to be past the line of scrimmage. There's going to be, a flag on that one, but a good job getting the ball away. And almost got the first, too. A good little effort right there, just pulled short the first.
Play clock down to 3. And now Scott Peary didn't like what he saw on the defense, and he's going to call a timeout. We'll take one with them as well. 4:20 left to go here in the first half of the... What am I saying? This is what happens.
The cold is really getting to us.
The cold's getting to us, folks. We'll be back after this word from Mountain Land Equipment. 40-12, Skyridge leads.
Mountain Land Power Equipment provides exceptional service and high-quality brands you know and trust in lawn, landscaping, and snow removal products. Our experienced staff of technicians repair all types of snow plows, snow blowers, lawn mowers, small engines, and is trained to answer questions about lawn, garden, snow removal, and landscaping products. Mountain Land Power Equipment, now with 2 locations to serve you in Salt Lake City and Springville.
Skyridge leads 40-12. Alexander Timolip, Alex Amrine here on KSLSports.com's presentation of the 2022 UHSAA 6A quarterfinals. The winner moves on to face Farmington at Rice-Eccles Stadium next Thursday. 4th and 3 coming up for Davis.
Big play right here.
Very big play indeed. Stevens looking, throws, that's complete, and they do convert. No flags. That's Caden Eggett, the tight end, lined up as the H-back. And a big first down there for Davis.
Well, it's just simple spacing offense right there. You have the running back go out to the right. That's going to pull that linebacker out to the left, as he knows how lethal those running backs can be, especially how common most offenses go to them in 4th and short situations. But Eggett right there open for the first.
Stevens looking, tries to set up the screen, complete to Baggett, gets a block, heads into the stack, and he gets popped right at the 40-yard line, and we got some pushing and shoving going on after the play. Looked like it was Tausili Akana again in the middle of that one.
You know, in those plays right there, it really comes down to the wide receiver blocking. And, you know, those kind of screens are screens that we see more and more often in the NFL nowadays, especially with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The year they won the Super Bowl a few years back, they like to run that play with Chris Godwin and Antonio Brown with those speedsters. The Davis Stars like to do it out here with Baggett.
And now we're going to have it offside against the Skyridge Falcons. That's going to move it even closer to first down yardage. It's actually Deshaun Toilolo in there, too, that was in there with the pushing and shoving on the last play as well for the Falcons.
Well, I think we've got to get close to the 20 mark on penalties.
3:29 officially left here in the third quarter. 40-12 in favor of Skyridge. Stevens, quarterback power. And I think he got it. He dove forward. It's not where you start. It's not where you spot the end of your dive. It's where you go, and that's where they're going to mark him. They're going to give him the first down.
And I like that play design right there. You know, just do nothing crazy. Just keep the drive alive. Get an extra set of downs right there. Even on second down. I mean, why not? You know, it's the safe game right here. That's what you want to do when you want to conserve the ball. But, you know, looking at the scoreboard, 3 minutes and running. Down now by 28.
Yeah, you better get moving.
Especially when you're almost in mercy rule territory to make sure that score gets a lot closer.
Stevens drops the pass, looking up the sideline for Eggett, off his fingers. Eggett had his man beat up the sideline, but great coverage there. Again, Snowden, we haven't called his name a whole lot, and they don't throw to his side a whole lot, but that was one of the rare times we've seen him get beat this season.
Yeah, you don't often see that, and I believe that was actually Jace Doman on the coverage on that one.
Yes, that was. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I mean, they got so many good playmakers. Sometimes they all just look consistent. They're so consistent across the board. We get confused which one's which. But, yeah, Jace Doman, I think that last week, I think something that I saw in his game, while he did have 2 interceptions, they were both kind of just cherry-pick balls, bad balls from Fremont quarterback Slade Parker right there, but he was beat on that one, as he was a few times last week.
Stevens trying to set up the quarterback RPO, and that was thrown behind and out of bounds. And looks like we have a player down in the middle of the field. And now we have everybody coming over to see what the matter is, and it looks like it's a Davis player down, and it looks like it's cramps, and it is. It tends to happen on a cold night like this, Amrine, where, you know, there's not a lot of places where you can get warm, especially in high school football, and this is what can happen sometimes when it's dry, it's cold, and there's not a lot of humidity in the air, and this can happen.
Well, and as well, because, you know, when your players are hydrated, right, you know, those cramps are going to happen. But when it's so cold like this, the last thing your body's really thinking instinctively is, oh, yeah, I need to, you know, stay hydrated on the sideline right here, especially when the water's cold and stuff. You know, you don't want that in your body right now. You just want to sit back and have a nice cup of hot cocoa. But, yeah, so I think that it's important to keep players hydrated, especially in conditions like this. As they stretch them out right there. We've witnessed a few kind of scary injuries throughout this season. And so we're glad to see that's not a scary one right there. But it's good to see that player's getting attended to before we resume play.
Yeah, we'll let them tend to the player that's cramping up, and we'll take a break. Step aside and be back after this with Skyridge leading 40-12 on KSLSports.com.
Bird Homes is a Utah-founded community builder and a proud sponsor of Skyridge football. Bird Homes not only builds commercial and multifamily buildings, they build and support Utah communities. Bird Homes builds for you. Go Falcons.
Hi, I'm Amber Clark, head manager of the Skyridge football team. This is Atlanta Falcon. Falcons are the fastest animals on the planet. They read body language and are extremely aware. Let's make 2022 the best season yet. Go Falcons!
Easton Baggett was the one that was cramping up on the last play. 40-12 in favor of Skyridge. Alexander Tumub alongside my broadcast partner Alex Amrine here at Skyridge High School on what is a very cold night. Game time temperature was 39 degrees, real feel 36, and it has to be in the I'm telling you right now, it has to be in the high 20s, the real feel right now. It's freezing.
Yeah, we're currently sitting at 38 degrees.
Which is
feels
the number
like
on Jackson Stevens back as he gets sacked. Back near midfield. Count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sacks on the night for Skyridge. Boy, this defense is just relentless. I mean, you were talking about it with the Skyridge DC just before the game that they wanted to make Stevens feel it. That's the product of it right there.
Yeah, and while I was talking to that same coach who said beforehand, he said, you know, the size of our guys on the defensive line, he said, while it's not incredible, and they still have some pretty big guys on there, but it's nothing, you know, just jaw-dropping, he said the speed of these guys is really what their skill set is, and we saw it right there. Their ability to just get in the backfield so quick off the snap, give the quarterback no time to pass and force him to drop back, and that's going to result in not just sacks, but sacks for a lot of yardage.
Davis will take a timeout as they were kind of in between whether or not to punt the football or to go for it on fourth down, but given it's 4th and 24, it's obvious here you have to kick it away. Before we go any further, we'd like to remind you KSL Sports Rewind's presentation of high school sports is presented by Heidemann & Associates, the full-service law firm that is dedicated to winning for their clients. Whether you need patents for your business or you need to handle real estate planning, Heidemann & Associates is there for you. Call 801-754-4240 to schedule your free consultation with them, or you can contact them online at utah.law. And we remind you, at the end of tonight's game, Amrine and I will be selecting our Heidemann & Associates Player of the Game. Presented by Heidemann & Associates, the full-service law firm, again, that is committed to winning for their clients.
And I think even if the player that's on my mind for the player of the game doesn't do anything else the rest of the night, I think he still gets the award, far and away, if we're thinking about the same person here. We won't spoil it. But
I was about to say it, but you would probably smack me upside the head if that happened.
No, yeah, you can't give it away. Come on.
We've worked how many games together now, and I haven't had that bad habit yet. As Agat's punt is a line drive. It will be fair caught at the 15-yard line. And that will take us to where Skyridge will put the ball in play next. A minute 55 here left in the third quarter. Officially, again, the winner of this game moves on to play the Farmington Phoenix, who upset the American Fort Cavemen down the road, 19-3 earlier this evening. Corner Canyon also easily advancing over West, 35-7. Shout out to Luke Henstrom. And, of course, Dougie Henstrom, his dad, who was calling the game earlier tonight on Charter TV. There'll be a Rice Eccles next week. Here's a handoff up the middle to Walker, and he goes to the 20. He'll pick up about 4 off left guard.
We got a bird's eye view, but even I was a little faked out on that play right there. I actually did think that it was going to be a pass play over the middle. I was a little confused by McCae Hillstead's pass right there, the way his body was, where he's pointing his body. I was like, where are you throwing it to, man? That's the sideline right there, and there's no one over there. But, yeah, little run.
Is the cold getting at you, too, buddy?
It must be.
Oh, my goodness. Now this is a pass. Hillstead rolling for his life out of the pocket. He's going to take off and run to the sideline. I mean, nobody's going to catch him once he gets upfield gets going north and south. That's going to be a problem, and I think Blake Anderson, the head coach at Utah State, is licking his chops right now at having that.
Yeah, he's got to be pretty happy, especially after some quarterback troubles up at Utah State so far this season with the department of their starter, and then Cooper Laga coming in. He's been doing a pretty good job, coming in just right off the bat. Had a decent game against BYU.
Hillstead throws. That's complete for a short gain. And he touched on it, Amrine. We talked about it. Logan Bonner, of course, at Utah State. His career over, his playing days over at USU because of a foot injury. And, of course, Cooper Laga, the Orem quarterback, the Orem graduate. I mean, he looked absolutely unstoppable against Brigham Young, but they've kind of fallen back to earth in recent weeks. They have Utah State.
Yeah, and I think they have some bright spots on their offense, and maybe it was just a bit of the fact that was really the beginning of the end for BYU's defense. This season they've really struggled the past few weeks.
Don't get me started.
I won't.
As Jensen makes the catch over the middle, he gets gang tackled right at the 45-yard line. First time in a long time we've called his name tonight.
Yeah, just Connor Jensen, just when he comes across the middle like that, I mean, that was really all the routes that he was running last week, all these ins and posts. He is just so lethal across the middle of the field, does a good job finding space, making those cuts in between people, high points the ball, takes it down, and right there, didn't get taken down at the first hit. Had 2 or 3 guys finally needed to take him down.
Now they go right back to the ground game. Here's Walker, breaks a couple of tackles, and he gets about maybe 4. And that should be the final play of the third quarter. And by the way, you've been saying Connor Jensen. It's Cannon Jensen there, Amran.
No, I apologize.
See, the Colts even getting to us. I mean, I'm just glad our cameraman Doug Jardine hasn't had to say anything just about the mishaps that have been going on. But that's the product of what happens on KSL Sports Rewind just sometimes during these cold nights. Anyway, Skyridge is 12 minutes away from going to Rice-Eccles Stadium. They lead 40-12. We'll be back to start the fourth quarter in just a moment here on KSLSports.com after this word from UCCU.
At UCCU, we'll provide you with a low-rate line of credit that makes it easy to access the equity in your home with no fees or closing costs.
Simply complete an application on your phone or computer and select the low-rate option you prefer.
And then sit back and enjoy the peace of mind that comes from knowing you have a low-rate line of credit. Ready for whatever life throws at you.
To learn more or start your application, visit uccu.com or stop by any branch.
Welcome back, everyone. KSL Sports Rewind's coverage of Skyridge football presented by Surgical Wound Care Associates Utah continues. Alexander Timberlip, Alex Amrine, as we start the fourth quarter. McCae, Hillstead, and Co. at the 40 of Davis. And a false start. Game of the night.
But Klom is a bit bummed. He hasn't been out here the last few drives. Finally get the ball in his hands and get the false start.
Want to bring you an up-to-date on the game that we're currently keeping an eye on. Lone Peak over Bingham was leading initially 3-0, but they're now trailing 7-6. Dane Stewart, Moose Bingham have that game for you down the highway. Second down and 12 now at the 46 following the penalty. Triple wide receiver lines up to the right. The single wide is Jensen. Hillstead looking, throws for Jensen, and it's overthrown, incomplete. And that'll bring a third down and long here for the Falcons.
That one on the pressure that came on McCae Hillstead. Might not have seen it, but on the back end of the play, McCae Hillstead took a kind of a hard hit, and his head bounced against the ground right there. I feel like so often when you see that little bit of a whiplash on the heads of those quarterbacks, I feel like sometimes that'll draw the roughing the passer. None right there, but something to look out for.
So third down and 11 now. Haven't been a whole lot of third downs tonight for the Skyridge offense. Hillstead drops the pass, looking, throws, and it is overthrown, incomplete. Intended for Valdez. And that'll bring up fourth down and 11. And the punt unit will come on here for Skyridge.
Well, they're just kicking it back and forth to each other thus far.
Yeah, Doug Jardine just threw his hands up saying, what's going on here?
It's 20 degrees. Run the ball.
He says 20 degrees, run the ball,
Yes.
is what he's saying.
Well, that's not going to help. Shank off to the left side of the punt. Everybody gets out of the way of it. And it will die right at the 29-yard line. KSL Sports Rewind's presentation of high school football continues next week. The 5A semifinals from Rice-Eccles Stadium continue. We know Lehigh will be there. They survived an asinine test from Box Elder. Find out who will play who next week as our coverage of the semifinals and the championships begin next Thursday and Friday, leading you up to Championship Day, Friday, November 18th on KSLSports.com. As Skyridge will take a timeout because they were all over the place with the substitutions. So Alex Amrine, looking ahead now, it seems like it's inevitable we're headed for a Corner Canyon Skyridge championship, you would think. But realistically, who do you think could potentially stop these two teams at Rice-Eccles Stadium next weekend?
You know, it was one of those, I kind of mentioned it. American Fork was a real player in there. We also talked about, of course, West was a great team that I think could have had a real chance of taking down, Skyridge at some point. But I think that Skyridge is just kind of I think it's going to be Skyridge and Corner Canyon. I think that earlier when they faced off this year, that was just a preview of the final championships, what we see at the end of this year, and so far the trend looks to continue that way.
1st and 10 now from the 29. Stevens drops the pass, throws. That's complete over the middle. Close to the marker. And making the catch is Anderson. Close to a first down. They'll mark it just short. 2nd down coming up.
And now they're starting to go up-tempo, and they need to, down 28.
Stevens from the gun. Hands off. This is Pierce. Flag goes down. And this is going to probably bring it back. Another untimely penalty there for Davis.
The refs have been by far the most consistent player in this game.
Well, even then, Amrine, Davis has had some untimely penalties here tonight that have killed a lot of their momentum here in this game.
They seem to come after really good and big plays that set them up. Right there, you're finally about to get into opposing territory right there. You're playing up-tempo. That's a drive killer.
So from the spot of the foul, 2nd down and 10. $11 and rolling left here in the ball game. Triple wide receiver lines up in tandem to the right. Single wide receiver is Anderson out to the left. Stevens looking, sets up the screen. That's complete. That's Pierce. Ducks his head down, gets into the secondary. And he'll get close to the first down marker, past the marker. In fact, he has the first down at the 41-yard line, and that'll move the sticks.
Good job right there. Just operating in open space. It comes down to just being able to read your blocks, knowing, kind of the tendencies of your blockers, knowing which way they're going to block, and then reading them from there. So good job reading 2 or 3 different blocks right there, picking up the first.
From the 41 now, 1st and 10. 10:25 and rolling here in this one. Skyridge with this one well in hand. Stevens throws. That's complete. And making the catch and getting tackled immediately is Elkins. And that will bring up 2nd down and short. 6 to go after a pickup of 4.
Mason Anderson. Now, I've been impressed with the linebacker core, their ability to just jump on these guys as soon as they have. They've had a lot of success just doing these little hitch routes and curl routes right across the middle as another flag goes. We'll see who this one's on now.
It's going to be a false start, I think, against Davis. It is. Bring up another penalty. That's their 8th penalty of the game. Like we said, Amrine, well, continue your point, Amrine. This Skyridge defense is really led by that linebacking core.
Yeah, I love. They just got like that Fred Warner speed and just making it. I don't know if you saw that highlight over the weekend from the Rams 49ers game where Fred Warner, he just came running across the field, all the way across the field to take out the Rams running back. But, you know, some of these players out here, just their speed reminds me of him.
Stevens fakes the screen, rolls to his right, throws. That's complete. That's Caden Eggett. He'll be short of the first down. He'll get to midfield even. Right about at the tip of the feather of that Skyridge Falcon logo, and they'll bring up third down and a short one.
And that was a designed fake screen right there. As Stevens rolled out of the pocket, he was looking for one of his receivers in the backfield to the right, but then Eggett was just wide open in the middle right there as everyone dropped to go cover that screen. I really like that play design, very creative.
Third down and a short one coming up here. And a quarterback sneak. Stevens has it.
Second time we've seen him kind of just jump ahead to get the first down. That's something you're going to keep on doing, and with all these passes completed and with some of these running plays now, the clock's going to continue to chew off as now we are about 8:30 left in the fourth.
Actually might work in Davis's favor, keeping that Skyridge offense off the field and giving their defense a much-needed rest. As Stevens drops the pass, throw in the middle, that's complete. That's Elkins. He gets about maybe 9.
Elkins once more. It's kind of funny, you know, going to this game, I was giving Skyridge Falcons praise up and down, left and right about just how, you know, widespread their talent is, how they disperse the ball to so many guys. Out here, you know, the Davis offense, of course, they've only been able to get 12 points on the board, but as far as just distributing the ball, I think they've done a much better job getting it to a variety of players than the Falcons have.
Second down and 2 now. Stevens looking, throws the inside screen, complete again to Elkins. He's going to be close to the first down, and they're going to mark him right at the stick. And the officials are going to say, move the chains.
And right there, it's interesting. Between every play, Stevens is running over to the sideline to get instructions from his coach on what play they're going to run as they're keeping this up-tempo offense right there. And a good job on the last one to get the ball off as he felt the heat. He had some extra guys. Looked like 6 guys were coming into the box.
You know, Amrine, as Stevens gets set to run this next one, we'll let the play run out here. Stevens looking, throws the fade up the sideline. A lot of contact, a lot of bumping, incomplete. The shame of this game is tonight, you know, is that Davis has been moving the ball, but the unfortunate thing about this game is that, you know, Davis has just been hurt by a lot of really untimely penalties and mistakes in this game. And if it wasn't for that, this game would be a whole lot closer.
You know, and it comes down, you know, sometimes teams, they just need to play clean football. They need to be well-disciplined teams, not just talented teams. I think this team has plenty of talent, as we've seen. You know, the likes of Elkins, Stevens has got a good arm on him, but they're just really struggling to keep that clean play. A lot of just drive killers just from penalties.
Stevens throws, a lot of traffic, complete still to Elkins. I mean, he had Sione Westover blanketed all over him there at the top of the route.
Yeah,
bring up third down and long.
I thought that he dropped that one, but I mean, the ref has it much better than I do down on the field, so he's able to hold on. That's 3 straight passes now completed to Elkins.
So third down and call it officially 7. So we approach 7 minutes to go here in this game. Again, the winner moves on to play Farmington next weekend, and it looks like it will be Skyridge playing Farmington next week at Rice-Eccles Stadium, not if there's another flag, and now it's going to be a question of who moved first, and it looks like the Davis offense is moving backwards. It's going to be a false start.
Yeah, Stevens is visibly frustrated right there, threw his hands up on his helmet as he goes once more to receive instructions from his coach. You know, and I'm liking what they're doing, but I think the problem here is that this is something that they just should have done from the very start, clearly. I mean, you know, one thing that I noted last week is very early on, I saw that the Falcons, while they do blitz every once in a while, they seem to just bring 3 or 4 people, and they like to play off, so it's going to leave your short game open in the passing. And it looks like they're going to that more and more often, and it's worked. I mean, they're driving down the field right now. I mean, of course, they're nowhere. They still have about 20 yards to go before the red zone, but the ball's still in their hands.
Man comes in motion on third down and 12, and it's going to be an back option pass, but it didn't look like that was going to pan out, as that didn't work exactly as planned. Caden Bright was the one that took the handoff to the right side, and it's 4th down and call it about maybe 7, and given where it is right now, it's going to be 4th and 7, and I think you have to go for it if you're Davis.
Yeah, if there's any semblance, any sliver of a dream left, it's only possible right here if you convert it right now on 4th and 7, I believe.
Actually, they're going to try a field goal from right here.
Oh, there you go.
Almost acts like a punt in a sense. Good snap, good hold. The kick has the distance. It is good! Gage Butler knocks it through from 52.
And actually on the top of the press box, we got the brother of the kicker up here, who's cheering as his brother nails that field goal through the upright. That was one heck of a kick right there. We were going.
If Ed Lamb's watching at BYU right now, he needs to look at that guy right now.
Get rid of Jake Oldroyd.
No comment. Jeez. 40-15 is our score. We want to remind you, KSL Sports Rewind's coverage of the UHSAA football semifinals and championships continue next week. Jeremiah Jensen, Stevenson Sylvester have the call of the semifinals and championship game on the KSL TV app. Dusty Litster, Dane Stewart, Jeff Hansen, and the Brown Bear, Brian Brown, have pregame, postgame, and halftime for you all covered. Join JJ Sly and Dusty for all the action starting next Thursday, bright and early, 11 o'clock a.m. with pregame coverage starting at 10:30 on KSLSports.com and on the KSL TV app. So 40-15 now your score as Skyridge leads Davis. Skyridge started with the first 20 points of the game, and they've never looked back. Gage Butler to kick off. It's a squibber through the middle, and it's taken on the run. Snowden looking for a hole, and now he'll just give himself up and take a knee at the 26.
Yeah, in 6 minutes now. This is just true clock time.
So, Amrine, I turn to you now, and we talked about this Skyridge offense scoring the first 20 points of the game. They never look back from this game. They're going to win. They're going to go on to Rice Eccles Stadium for the 3rd straight year. But what's the one weakness you want to see worked out in preparation for their game against Farmington? Because it doesn't get any easier from here.
Yeah, I think one thing you just need to do is utilize the short ball game. I really like when they've passed short. I think that helps open up a lot of other things, and they're going to need to have a diverse offense going up against some experienced defense as we see a rain of flags going down.
Yeah, a face mask look like against Sheffield as now we see Trent Call in the game. First time tonight.
Yeah, and there's Trent Call, and he's the guy that, I kind of hope that just for my sake, I don't think they actually will, but kind of let him, sling it out a little bit, because I think that he's got a good arm himself. He's a good general of this offense. He understands it very well. Last week, he looked like a genuine starter out there. But McCae Hillstead, he's done decent enough, but I think one thing that I've talked about time and time again throughout the night is, just his inability to get the pass off when it's just good secondary coverage. And, that's a shout-out to the Davis Darts defense. While they have let up 40 points tonight, they certainly seem to have done a pretty good job shutting them down, especially in the second half. A lot less success for the Falcons in the second half.
Call goes into the shotgun here. Hand off to Kalama on the fly sweep. And Kalama breaks some ankles as he gets into the secondary, and he gets spun down at the 20-yard line. It'll be 1st and 10 inside the red zone again for the Skyridge offense.
And Kalama now is going to be well over 100 all-purpose yards on the night.
Yes.
Of course, has had 2 touchdowns on the night himself.
Skyridge has only put up 20 points total since going up 20-0 after the first quarter. Here's a keeper by Call to the right side. Tries to get outside. Breaks a couple of tackles. He gets outside. Still on his feet. And Call is going to get wrestled to the turf inside the 5 at about the 3-yard line. That's just a testament to how the strength of Trent Call really has a factor and why they really like this guy as a runner.
Yeah, and I think that Trent Call could be a guy they utilize more and more often, kind of in a bit of a Taysom Hill kind of position going forward.
And touchdown right up the gut goes Connor Sheffield. And so, instantaneous response as Skyridge gets into the end zone. And they have laid 46 on the Davis Darts. 5:10 officially left to go.
Well, I think that was just 4 plays on that drive right there.
That was very quick.
That was very fast. They were able to chew some time off the clock and prove that, the running game, they can do it just as well as the Davis Darts.
Ian Kieslar knocks through the extra point. 47-15 Skyridge. Well on their way to Rice-Eccles Stadium now. We'll be back after this word from the Salt Lake Running Company on KSLSports.com.
For over 25 years, Salt Lake Running Company has helped people of all ages and levels find the gear they need to start their fitness journey. From a free custom shoe fit analysis to a premium assortment of footwear and workout essentials, SLRC is a top 10 run shop in America. Locally owned, locally operated at 5 locations along the Wasatch Front. SLRC is there to help you gear up and get out. Visit a store near you or shop online at slrc.com.
5:10 left in the game here. KSL Sports Rewind's coverage of the UHSAA playoffs continues here. Skyridge leads Davis 47-15. Alexander Timlip and Alex Amrine here. Just about to wrap this one up and send Skyridge on to Rice-Eccles Stadium, where they'll face Farmington next Thursday rather, in the semifinals. They'll be the late semifinal. Kickoff will go into the corner. It's taken up to 6. And out to about close to the 20-yard line is Baker, and he gets nailed right there. I've actually been misspeaking this whole time. Corner Canyon will actually play Farmington. The winner of this game will play the winner of Bingham and Lone Peak. I actually stand corrected. I'm sorry about that. There's a flag down, by the way, here at the 18-yard line.
Well, of course. Why wouldn't there be a flag? Right?
Yes. Well, Amrine, in that case, if it is LP against Skyridge next Friday, they are the late semifinal. That's going to be quite the matchup.
No, it is. I mean, we talked about that matchup, like how good that's been, and so very excited to see, what the outcome of that game is. Last time we checked, it was very close, and so I'm excited to see what that is. I think Lone Peak, Skyridge, that's a real treat right there.
Yeah, you're talking about the up-and-coming power Skyridge against the always power Bingham, who of note played Kahuku a couple years ago in 2017. Of course, I was on my mission at that time. Stevens takes another quarterback draw up the middle, and Stevens gets close to the first down. One side judge says he did get it, one says he didn't, and the far side one says, okay, he did get it. You're right. Again, J.J. Sly, Dusty Litzer have the semifinals and championship games for you next week. And this will be Amrine and mine's final football broadcast of this season. I want to thank Skyridge High School and Lone Peak and all the schools across our network this season for the hospitality they've shown us. We started this season all the way back in August, Amrine, and it's hard to believe it's gone by so fast.
Yeah, it really has gone by fast, and it's been a real treat and a real pleasure to see so many talented young men out here just really playing their hearts out, and a lot of bright stars that are going to go on and do great things. Some of them are going to get to play at a collegiate level. Some of them are going to go on and do great things, whether that's going on to college, studying, serving missions for the church, and then going and studying. But very, very exciting. It's very exciting stuff.
We know McCae Hillstead will be one of those people. He'll be off to Utah State next season to play for Blake Anderson. A lot of good talent coming out of the state of Utah. We're very excited to have covered it all season long, and Amrine and I will now look forward to basketball coming up after Thanksgiving weekend. And of course, Jeff, I want to send out a shout out to the Skyridge boys basketball team. Head coach Jeff Gardner will be chomping at the bit to have us back in their gym, Amrine. And boys, send a shout out to Jeff Gardner, because we're excited to come back into their gym this season.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's right.
And, of course, American Fork, speaking of the defending 6A champs in boys basketball, they'll open their season against the defending 5A champ Olympus on November 29th as Stevens evades the pressure, throws, that's complete to Anderson, steps out of bounds and stops the clock momentarily at about the 32-yard line. Want to send a big thank you to all of our cameramen throughout the season, especially Doug Jardine, who's standing right up here next to us. Want to thank Chase Campbell as well for working with us as well. We also want to thank Tino Psyche, who will also be working with us during basketball season as well.
Yeah, and something to note, you know, a lot of these players have just been playing their hearts out tonight, and that's probably because it's going to be their last game. Just to name a few: Easton Baguette, Caden Eggett, Hunter Anderson, Cash Gates, Tyson Elkins.
Speaking of which, he has the ball right here. He gets down to the 23-yard line. How nice would it be to go out in his final game with a touchdown?
Touchdown and a lot of yards.
Yes, touchdown and a lot of yards. What a talented young man he is. Tobin Smith, a lot of the subs are now in for Skyridge. Again, this is Skyridge's last home game of the season. Now we're going to see a Wildcat here as Easton Baggett is in there. And he's going to take the handoff himself. Gets to the left side. Baggett at the 10. Touchdown! You were saying, Amrine. What a way to go out for Easton Baggett. He gets into the end zone. And with the extra point to come, this will be the most points Skyridge has given up all season long, if you can believe it.
Yeah, and that just shows how good this Davis Darts offense has been all season. I mean, doing prep in this game, and I was just looking at some of their stat lines. It was kind of unbelievable, the things that they've been able to accomplish. And while they, won't be able to get the job done here tonight, I think a lot of players are able to be very proud of this season that they put forth.
And with that, the extra point by Gage Butler is good. 47-22. Davis has put up the most points on Skyridge. They have given up all season long. As we said, coming up at the end of tonight's game, just in a little bit, we're going to name our Heidemann & Associates Player of the Game. And again, we want to take an opportunity to thank everyone for working with us all season long. Again, this is Amrine and I's final football broadcast of this 2022 season. But don't worry, folks. Amrine and I will be back for basketball season starting at the end of this month after Thanksgiving, and we will be back for another season of football in 2023. And if this season has taught us anything, Amrine, everyone should be excited for what's to come in 2023.
Very much so, and I'm excited for a season of basketball with you and excited to be indoors, especially after this one.
Yeah, it's ironic, Amrine. Our first game together was a basketball game on December 11th, and it was these Davis Darts, their basketball team led by the awesome talents of people like Colby Sims and Rex Sunderland, who have, of course, gone on to bigger and better things. And you know that there will be some big shifting at the top in 6A this year in basketball. Ryan Cuff brings back American Fork, but not the same team. And if this last season taught us anything, we aren't going to bank on anything in 6A going chalk this year for boys basketball.
No, in 6A, we talked about it in football, that there's just so much turnover. There's so many good players up and coming with, so many students coming into these schools. And I think that football as well, I think that basketball is, a lot more unique in the fact that, of course, the rosters are smaller, and so it can change more often. But football, you get these powerhouse programs. Well, that certainly happens in basketball. It's certainly more subject to change.
Call. Hands off to the left side. And Sheffield will get out to the 33-yard line. Again, we want to remind you, KSL Sports Rewind's coverage of the 6A and 5A football semifinals and championships begin next Thursday, bright and early at 11 a.m. with Jeremiah Jensen, Stevenson Sylvester, and Dusty Litzter on the sidelines. Of course, Dusty Dane, Jeff, and the Brown Bear, Brian Brown, will have all the post-game and pre-game coverage for you. Again, that's next Thursday, 11 a.m. on KSLSports.com. Pre-game starts at 10:30. Again, that's on KSLSports.com and on the KSL TV app. All the subs are in here for both teams. as we crank down to the end of this one. It'll be 3rd down and short here. Want to bring you just one more update. Lone Peak has just taken the lead over Bingham 13-7 in the 3rd quarter. As we have an offside penalty, and that, since it is a 3rd and 5, should just about do it.
Yeah, and just quick note from that game, Ian Sanchez of Lone Peak hit a 55-yard field goal at one point.
That ties a season long, doesn't it there, buddy?
And we ourselves saw quite the long kick.
Yeah, we thought Gage Butler's kick was impressive, as the senior McCae Hillstead will come in and take his final snaps at home as a member of the Skyridge Falcons. We want to wish him luck as he moves on to Utah State. Head coach Blake Anderson will be very, very happy to have him in 2023. We want to send a congratulations to the Davis Darts on a fine season. Coming up just short in Region 1 to the Syracuse Titans, but there is much to build on for Coach Scott Peary in the future as McCae Hillstead puts down the knee. Again, we want to thank our friend Doug Jardine for his work all season long with us. We want to thank Chase Campbell, and we want to thank Tino Psyche, our cameraman. We want to thank Dusty Litster and Vince Francis for a fantastic season of football. But folks, we are all done, but not the Skyridge Falcons. For the 3rd consecutive year, the Skyridge Falcons are going to Rice-Eccles Stadium. What a season for Skyridge, as they will move on to the Final Four at the house that Witt built next week, Thursday afternoon. So as this one comes to an end, 47-22 your final score. The Skyridge Falcons are victorious. And the Falcons are moving on to Rice-Eccles Stadium for the 3rd consecutive season. Amrine, final thoughts on this game and final thoughts on the season we've seen as this has transpired from August to the cold months of November.
I know we've seen a lot of good football. We covered Timpanogos for a majority of the season. We got to see some great stars over there, especially in Luke Livingston. We saw a plethora of his touchdowns. We saw what a great player he was, and of course, apparently he's had some interest in joining your Hawaii team.
Yes, he has.
Apparently, also he went to the BYU Baylor game, so it'll be interesting to see. What happens there. What happens there? Other offers from other schools going forward. But at the end of this game, I think that it shows just what a bright future that football in Utah has. So many talented players, some very, very competitive games. I'm looking forward to the future of the sport in the state.
So Amrine, Skyridge, dominant, first 20 points of the game. They'll face either Lone Peak or Bingham next week, Thursday afternoon at Rice-Eccles Stadium. The challenge doesn't get any easier for them. They've got a real test coming up, whoever they play next week.
No, and I think no matter who they play, I think that they showed out here tonight, despite some offensive struggles. It's funny saying offensive struggles that they've put up 47 points in the game, but nonetheless, some things can be cleaned up, but hey, that's something to work on, something to constantly improve upon. That's the attitude that you want to have. You want to be nitpicky about things. That shows that you're doing well. And so going forward, I think that either Lone Peak or Bingham is going to have a really tough time, and I think that it's going to come down to once more Corner Canyon against Skyridge.
And boy, what a matchup it's going to be if that's the case. I got to watch that first matchup here on September 23rd, and that's going to be a really fun matchup. That is, if everything goes to chalk. We don't bank on anything in 6A. All right, Amrine, it's time to put a bow on the season now for the Davis Darts. Boy, they gave everything they had tonight. It was just a slow start that killed them, but I think Scott Peary has a lot to be proud of, and a lot to build on in the future.
Yeah, and there was really just that one turnover on the night, right? That early interception, I think that would really set the tone, and then just flag after flag after flag. It was tons of drive killers, cost them a lot of yards. They cannot get back into position to pick up the first down and extend their drives, and that was resulted in this loss.
So Skyridge moves on to Rice-Eccles Stadium, and it's time now to name our Heidemann & Associates Player of the Game for the last time this season. Amrine? Okay, fine. Now you can give it away. Who is it?
Yeah, I mean, you got to go Tate Walker, right? Well, they had a few good players across the field. McCae Hillstead played pretty well, in his first game back after Trent Call played last week. And Kalama played really well. Walker, 4 touchdowns, well over 100 all-purpose yards. He was a game changer for this team.
Well, once again, congratulations to the Davis Darts on an amazing season. They come up just short in Region 1. They gave it everything they had against Skyridge, but it's the Falcons who are moving on to Rice-Eccles Stadium to face the winner of Lone Peak and Bingham. Alex, Amrine, this season went by so fast, but thank you for an amazing football season. It's been a pleasure working with you and Hammer all season long. We're not done yet, though. I'll see you when basketball starts.
Looking forward to it.
And we want to thank all of our cameramen again all season long. Again, this is our final football broadcast of this season. We want to thank everyone for staying with us on this journey from August to November. And now we are down to our last 4 teams at Rice-Eccles Stadium. Your final score, once again, is the Skyridge Falcons 47 and the Davis Darts 22. This has been a presentation of KSL Sports Rewind's presentation of the UHSAA playoffs presented by UCCU, Western Governors University, and by Heidemann and Associates. Until next football season, we bid you aloha from Utah, and we say as always, malama pono ke kai ike kahi. Take care of one another, everyone. Aloha and happy holidays.